stars.
Had a job interview today that I nailed. They wanted to do a follow-up with the other managers tomorrow.
And good evening, Try Hard Nation. I couldn't tell if I want to say Trihex or Try Hard there. Cam, not active. Okay, let's turn on that camera real quick. There we go. I have to look into why my why is it my green screen is so scuffed? That I really want to look into. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but we'll have to look into that when we get a chance. Wake up! Your dog is cracked at COD. I don't understand here. I don't even get the joke there. So it's like a Call of Duty Ghosts thing. Yeah, good evening, everyone. So happy to see y'all here. Another day. A few things before we get started here today, in case you're curious and you're here right now. So, I'm aware. Like, I'm so aware that, like, yesterday was a 10.5-hour stream that was mostly politics. And I'm aware that, like, I'm so painfully aware right now that I'm trying to catch a grip on, like, how much of the content currently is political and therefore, like, not really appealing, right? It's just kind of me, like, coping with the reality that we're in right now. And it's not really, like, me getting back on my swag. You know, I came back from Japan and I was like, yep, August, get back on my swag. Let's get back to speed running. Let's make Trihex great. Let's do all the things. And I was really focused on that. And I can tell I'm like I said yesterday, I'm back in that same pit again where like I was from, like, COVID, where I just find it so hard to, like, emotionally get in the right spot. And I'm not here to repeat all those things from yesterday, more so that I'm aware of it. And here's where we are going with things forward here. I kind of forgot today was Thursday. I'll admit here. I thought today was Wednesday until like 2 o'clock today. I'm like, oh, wait, fuck, I'm doing the wrong thing right now. And so I really was intending to kind of come live today and do Mario and Luigi Brothership and for once do a better job. In my head, I always intend to, like, open with the opening hour of kind of, just kind of ice breaking and yapping about something of passion or topic or insight or interest. And these days it's overwhelmingly politic shit, but because, again, I don't want to be this involved in it, but it's like you kind of have to be with, like, I mean, no cap now you got to really know what's going on here. Is there another, like, a food recall or outbreak? Is there, like, a, I don't know, it's just kind of hard. So I mean, it's like it's hard for me to get there. If I had to just do, like, a regular job, then maybe being preoccupied would make it easier. But because I have, like, the malleability to just kind of, like, I'm chronically online, it's hard. It's really hard to dissociate from it. In that it feels like I'm like lying to myself in a way, which is doesn't feel too good to try to do, I guess I would say. Um, so the mental stack there is really, really hard. And though I'm gonna work really hard on here, I want to succeed more than I want to repeat the missteps of 2020 onward, right? So I had some steps we're gonna implement today, which was, like, an on-screen timer where, like, politics shit is, like, max 1 hour, and I just have to, like, swallow that bitter pill and move on and get things started here. That way the content proportionally is more of the things I need to do to save my channel, build a community, etc., etc. So that's kind of like, yeah, streaming is painfully integrated into my worse than just my private life. It's integrated into my self-worth, which makes it, like, way worse. Like, so this is like whenever so I feel like I personally have failed when I like I don't do well for the community. Like when I say I'm gonna do something and then I don't do it for whatever reason, I feel miserable about that all the way through here. It used to be a bit different. Like before I was before I had a sub button, honestly, it was streaming was a hobby. And then when I got the sub button, even though the income was nowhere near a full-time thing, like June 2013 onward felt very different. The guilt was always there. Never streaming enough, never live enough, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, don't worry. We're gonna turn that on as soon as we do political anything. I'm like staring at that notification right now. Though I appreciate all y'all telling me that right now. Thank you though. So to continue here, here's what we're gonna do going forward. I already had like a little. I sat down and I was late. Not really. I'm on time right now, but I was late today to prep for this, and that now the opening stream, we'll do an hour with a timer on screen specifically just so that I am called out when my hour is up and we got to move on. So that's going to be pretty cool there. That way and I'm just going to have to get better at like consolidating whatever into that. I can tell here I have this really bad habit of like really wanting to reinforce the substance because of like some like, I don't know, call it trauma, call it, I don't know, some quirky habit where like I'm just so used to having to, if I say something, I have to fact check it thoroughly. I have to have substance for it. That way, like no hater can be like, you're wrong or whatever, right? It's like, no, I'm only speaking from things that I have like vehemently vetted in advance here and I have citation for it, etc., etc. And that makes me kind of like really bog down on certain topics longer than maybe people care to hear, right? But it's also like I don't spread misinformation either, so maybe it's a good habit. I'm not quite sure here, but in the end, I'm gonna have to figure out something. 'Cause I can't sit here and just do like 4 hours of politic news coverage every day, and pretend that this is going to get me to where I want. Either I want to cover the news or I want to grow my channel. And I don't think these two things are intertwined at all here. So, it's like, it's really me calling myself out hardcore. I'm finding it really hard to dissociate there. And it feels like I'm neutering my own like interests in this case. But that's what we're going to do starting Saturday. I will be off tomorrow. I'll be off Friday because Venom's off Friday. So I know I'm sorry that this feels kind of extra lightweight this week, but also I'm gonna use tomorrow to get the YouTube stuff caught up here. Like I'm really behind on YouTube and I haven't really done shit because I couldn't because the domain block and the domain block and the IP thing and all that. So yeah, I will be off tomorrow to get a lot of groundwork on the YouTube operations resume. So the VOD channel will come back, and also the Try Hard Only channel will be coming back. I'm going to knock out at least a week of that stuff tomorrow. Also, by coincidence, there's also the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight on Netflix tomorrow. So if you're thinking about watching that, that'll also be happening tomorrow on Netflix. First time seeing Netflix do a live event, so that'll be pretty cool. If you have a friend with a password, sure, hop on and see what happens here. But yeah, I'll be back Saturday. Saturday will be the real test of 1 hour of commentary, and then we get into Mario and Luigi as I continue to get things back on track there. And we intend to still figure out how to get the Yoshi controller thing fixed. I'm still looking into that. I'll look more into that tomorrow, as well as resume Mario Maker because I also want to do that too as well. So all those things in progress, one day at a time. Trust yourself. Everything else here, you know the thing. So with that, what's going on today? Well, today's stream, music please. Today we will be doing, we have the Butter Pecan podcast. I'm involved in this podcasting with a Fanatiq here, and we'll see if we stick with it. I'm not quite sure yet, but tonight will be another edition of that. So if you were here for it last week, it's me and another over-opinionated black man, Fanatiq. And we are talking about politics in this case here, but if I do my job better, I should contain all of my political stuff into the podcast. That should be whenever I just bust out and kind of go crazy with it. It should be contained to a segment rather than just bleeding out and overriding all the other gameplay things I intend to do. You know what I mean? So I can't be upset whenever the view count sucks or any other metrics I care about whenever the content I'm doing is just not like competitive or compelling. So it's a hard look in the mirror, and I tell you all this now because I'm trying to hold myself really accountable there, and above everything, not fall back into those old habits that I did unbeknownst to myself in 2020 and beyond. So I look forward to really pushing and showing that drive and that growth Saturday. So thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding. So the podcast starts in 35 minutes. And in the meantime, we're chilling. I don't think I have enough time here to actually do much of anything else other than just like eat and enjoy YouTube with y'all. So let's see what we're going to do here. We are not doing politics right now. That's going to be when we start the podcast, which I have a timer explicitly on screen to let me know to not forget that again. So what we could do right now while we're chilling here, let's open first with well, I guess I'm just gonna turn it on here. Fuck it, I'm just gonna be safe here. I gotta figure out here what's a sensitive topic, because it says like politics and sensitive social issues. I have to turn this on now. So let me ask you this question first, actually. Hang on, chat. Weird thing with Twitch here. So I'm gonna turn this on now. Fuck it, whatever. So I didn't exactly know what this was all about here, but now I have learned here that so like I said, I got a really a nasty email from Twitch here that I fucked up, and that I was doing politics without having this thing on here. And I didn't know what this was about, and now I realize it's pretty obvious here. This thing here is about ads. It's about advertisers. So when you have this on, any advertisers that are like not wanting their content associated with politics and sensitive social issues are gonna venture out here. Now, what does that mean, bro? This is pretty much means like get fucked all the way through here. This is dude. There's what ad is gonna be okay with like being like in this like very divisive bullshit right now, right? So in the end, it's like ads get obliterated to I'm hearing even allegedly like it drops to like 0. It's pretty bad. I don't have the data yet to reinforce here how it affects me, but I don't really count on ad revenue anyway. I look to support from subscribers. I hope the content is good enough to endure the mandated ad ratio. I play the minimum amount of ads anyway to make the viewing as minimal obtrusive as possible. Though this dashboard's telling me to like throw up 6 minutes of ads per hour, and I'm like, there's no way people are gonna sit through all that. So yeah, therefore, yeah, this is that here now. So this is kind of give you an idea of what's going on there. I'm just going to turn it on now because I don't even, it's hard for me to even say whether or not like what I'm about to show you is like ad friendly or not. So yeah, we have about 35 minutes to kill, and let's vibe, y'all. We're gonna vibe a little bit until it's time for the podcast here. So glad to have y'all here. And have y'all heard about, this is kind of this is a bit random, but it's me opening the floodgates here with something pretty crazy. Maybe you heard about it, maybe you didn't hear. We'll just open with this and kind of like see where things go. We'll take this one little, and this is like not explicitly politics I'm doing right now, just more like, okay, fuck it, let's just talk about this crazy shit here. And we're chilling, we're vibing. So let me go over here, sorry, and fuck, I don't have this shit ready right now. Yeah. Gonna do this. I don't. Okay. I'm gonna shrink myself a little bit here. And we're gonna go over here. All right, so let's look at this right. This is pretty crazy here. So, missing dad feared dead after kayaking trip, but wife and kids learned that he had a secret. This went viral. This happened like this. Well, it didn't happen, but this is now like, well, the break in the case is what went viral. This was like an unsolved mystery until it was like discovered what happened here. This happened in August of this year, and I'll let it play.
Discovery in the search for a missing Wisconsin husband and father of 3.
The family comes up with that he's drowned, and now all of a sudden they come up with he's not in the lake, he's someplace else.
Investigators think Ryan Borgwardt didn't drown in this lake, but instead say he faked his own death to run off to Europe with a woman he met online.
We identified that he purchased some airline coupons, that he took out a life insurance policy earlier in the year.
The 45-year-old was first reported missing August 12th when he didn't come home after kayaking on this lake near his home in Wisconsin. Police finding a capsized kayak and Borgwardt's car parked nearby. Fishermen finding his fishing pole and tackle box with his wallet, keys, and license inside. An army of search and rescue volunteers began scouring the lake to bring him home. Keith Cormican, who runs an organization called Bruce's Legacy, was on the water searching for nearly a month.
You know, what a waste of time that we did. We put so much time and effort into that case. Very disappointed in him. Anybody that could do that.
The apparent ruse unraveling last month. Investigators became suspicious after they found out Borgwardt's name had been checked by Canadian law enforcement August 13th, the day after his disappearance. They discovered he'd gotten a new passport last January after reporting his missing, and he'd taken out a $375,000 life insurance policy. Investigators say Borgwardt had been communicating with a woman in Uzbekistan and even moved money to a foreign bank before disappearing. Authorities now pleading with him to phone home.
Our whole thing is to get Ryan back with his family. He's got 3 kids, and they really miss their dad.
Yeah, y'all. So yeah, this story is getting pretty nuts right there. Let me elaborate here, okay? So he's an outdoorsy kind of guy. He goes kayaking one afternoon, presumably solo kayaking venture, and it's at this point that he plans his whole alibi that the kayaking venture went wrong, and then the kayak is top-sided, and he's nowhere to be found. The wallet, ID, car, and everything are all at the vehicle abandoned, or abandoned, and he's missing. He took out a life insurance policy for, as you saw, over $250,000. I'm not quite sure how you can I don't even know how to say it works actually. How in what ways do you cash out on a life policy, and then how do you do it? Presumably you do it in your wife's account, I guess. It has to go to a predetermined account, either of a relative you've determined or a spouse or whatever, right? I don't even know how you even do that shit, but he did it, got the funds, and then threw it overseas to some other shit or whatever here. And the red flag was initially for the first month, yes, the local search departments were venturing around the lake looking for him, trying to figure out why is it so hard to find a body? If a body wouldn't be this hard to find, quote unquote, here, given the lake and the visibility and whatnot. This is a kind of a shitty video, obviously, here with the bad mixing and not a lot of details here, but the story I found interesting because it was another case of just a total shit stain doing a really sloppy job of covering the trails, because so the kayaking day of the incident is August 12th-ish of this year, but then his passport, which he had gotten recently renewed because he had reported it lost or stolen from the Department of whatever the fuck, right? So he had a new passport printed, and that had been earlier that year, earlier in 2024. And then the next day, August 13th, his passport clears for a scan at the Canadian Customs and Patrol Office. So which is, of course, after the incident allegedly had happened here. And, no one's going to be stupid. The problem was that no one was considering he actually, bailed on the whole family for some, foreign adultery, love affair, whatever here. that that those pieces connected later on whenever they had heard of, oh, he had because the family didn't know about the life insurance policy, or the life insurance fraud, I should really say here, and the passport. All that was incredibly secretive, and so yeah, he did that, so now the it's all looking like here that he went somewhere in Eastern Europe with some unknown misses, but yeah, he's currently, he's gone right now, presumably with like over $250,000 in cash or whatever here. So yeah, to Uzbekistan, yeah, not Eastern Europe. I'm going by what they said here. I mean, yeah, the account might have been in Uzbekistan, but that's might not be where he actually is. They say Eastern Europe. I'm not saying I'm not saying that Uzbekistan is in Eastern Europe. Just I'm following what the facts are here. I don't know, if the missus is there, if the bank account is in XYZ. Not quite sure yet. I don't know if the video said that here or not. All we know here is that he flew out of Canada and that the account itself was tied to that country, but we don't know actually where exactly he would be. He could be there, could not be there. We're not quite sure yet. But yeah, life insurance fraud, and there's more details here too, by the way. He left behind a laptop, presumably the laptop that he did all the research and Googling on, and I can't find more details here, but apparently he cleared all his cookies, wiped the hard drive, and then replaced the hard drive with a different hard drive, and then destroyed the original hard drive. But they were still able to like recover via like de-encrypting or whatever, like all the things he did here. So I'm kind of like, I'm curious of how that's done. Like, okay, if you change hard drives and because like if you same hard drive and wipe, okay, yeah, we can still recover. But when you change hard drives, I'm curious of how all that happens here. But yeah, in the end here, I mean, it's one thing if you're like fucking over your wife, you're still gross, but like, bro, you got kids, bro. Like you're bailing on the whole thing here, dude. That's gross. This is so this is so fucking cringe. So yeah, if you want to look into it here, that's, if you Google it, it's do we have a name here actually? So it was Ryan Borgwardt of Watertown, Wisconsin. So this is the new tea today, the new tea of the week here. Just maybe bro heard Trump won and fucking just like said I'm out. I can't do another 8 years I can't do another 4 years of this shit or whatever. So we'll open with that today, and see where we go from here. So oh, I'm not over here either. Where's my here we are. Okay, all right. So that's a bit of a depressing topic certainly here, but let's keep going. Let's we're gonna move on now. Let's go back here to this guy I find so interesting. Okay, chat never votes for this, but fuck it, we're gonna do it here right now while we're chilling, and that'll be the black CEO at the age of 35. How did he do it? What's the story here? What's the story here, y'all? So let's go back here again and real quick, let's we kind of got to do a little bit of an encore.
One of the most important companies in American history.
So title of the stream now, we're talking about our boy finally here, Damola Adamolekun. All right, so let's go over here. Man of a Nigerian origin, and he's CEO of PF Chang's, then chooses to become CEO of nearly bankrupt Red Lobster. Really curious. This guy seems really interesting, actually. And I like learning about interesting people here. So let's go ahead and go back here now, and let's peep the short video real quick, just get everyone reinitiated, and go from there.
Embattled restaurant chain Red Lobster has a new CEO and a steep climb ahead.
There were certainly big mistakes made over the last few years.
In the wake of bankruptcy this year, the chain is leaning on Damola Adamolekun,
There's a lot of regulars.
formerly the CEO of PF Chang's and just 35 years old.
You know, when I took over PF Chang's, I was 30. So now I feel old.
Yeah, 35.
I feel experienced. Hey, how you doing? You bring the food out earlier. It was perfect. I appreciate it.
So, how does this new CEO plan to save Red Lobster?
We'll get the ultimate feast.
We sat down for a chat over some Well, lobster.
I've never had lobster on pizza.
Well, you're about to try it.
After ordering, we proceeded straight to the elephant, or shrimp, in the room.
When you saw endless shrimp, what did you think?
So that's a very expensive product to give away endlessly. When you have endless shrimp and people are coming in and sitting down at the table and eating for hours as much shrimp as they possibly can, you stress out the kitchen, you stress out the servers, you stress out the host, people can't get a table, it creates a lot of chaos, and you saw a lot of that.
Are you glad that endless shrimp is done? Was that pretty crazy?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking.
Food quality is very good at Red Lobster. It has been since its inception. Now, the menu's gotten too big, so we're gonna reduce the menu, but in a very intelligent way.
Do you think you guys might need to close more restaurants?
We intend to be done closing restaurants, intend to grow from here.
Grow from here?
In terms of the business, right? There's gonna be investments in the product that will take time. Infrastructure investment takes time. Technology investment takes time. There's 545 restaurants, so fixing every broken HVAC and every torn carpet and every chair that needs replacing will take time, but the impact should be felt right away.
I kind of want that little of that lobster tail.
Oh, you don't have any? Oh yeah, we have to.
Well, we can split. I don't mind sharing.
Please take the whole thing. I've had it plenty of times. I think I matured relatively quickly. I've been in positions of authority for a long time. My 35 might be different than somebody else's 35, but these are just numbers. It's about your experience, who you are as a person, the quality of your character, your integrity, your intelligence, your communication ability. There's a lot of things that are different person by person, and age is just one of them. They make work feel like not work, like family.
We are a family.
You are family.
You've in the past said that you don't separate work and life balance, that work kind of is life. That's a pretty different philosophy than a lot of people have right now.
Well, if you listen to what I said this works for me, and I don't expect anybody else to live life the way I do. Work to me is purpose. When you wake up every morning and you're excited to do something, it stops being work. Do I expect everybody who works for me to be like that? No. Maybe because I was a server when I was young, but I understand what it's like to work in the restaurant business. So nothing keeps me up at night. I'm energetic about the work. And the more quickly we can get it done and the better we are at achieving our goals, the better life will be for 30,000 people that work for us. That's the most important thing to me.
Blacksuit 421 gifted a tier 1 sub to CPT Teampo. They have given 89 gift subs in the channel.
Thank you so much, Black Suit. Okay, so yeah, now that you all have the vibe here, once again, his name is Damola Adamolekun, and I'm just now we can finally go into a bit more about him. So let's go ahead and see here. How did he become CEO of PF Chang's, which he did before he took on this Red Lobster role? Let's see.
I never really have been a person that separated work and life. I worked in private equity, I was working all the time, but I liked it. I thought it was interesting, I thought it was fun. Hello, my name is Damola Adamolekun. I'm the CEO of PF Chang's. We have 200 full-service restaurants in the US. We have another 90 internationally. We saw the off-premise dining opportunity as an area where the previous ownership hadn't been focused, and we thought we could improve delivery. And then within the restaurants, we thought we could invest in the experience part of the equation. So lighting, music, decor, ambiance, these are all things that we thought we could inject. It would help drive dine-in traffic and ultimately improve the quality and the value of the business.
OG, you started so new. Then I call me Gohan, Super Saiyan level 2. Who the fuck is you? Look like Gohan, and I'm the shit,
Oh my god, dude! Yo, are there any primers? This could be a hype train right now. Fuck. Black Suit popping. What is this here? You just casually popped, what is that, 13 gifted just now? Oh shit. Aragalos. Any other primers? Any other resubbers? Anyone want to show
Hype
off?
Train PLS.
I didn't even say that. I wasn't even gonna say show off emo. I was gonna say show off their loyalty. Quetzal. But I'm glad that you're so affectionate and that you agree that Blaze the Cat should be the mystery character reveal in Sonic Movie 3. I hear you loud and clear. Wes, thank you so much. And White Fox Clone, thank you for the pow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pack. Thank you, everyone. All right, well, I'm glad y'all here. Let's keep going then. So yeah, we're learning. I have not personally been to PF Chang's in a long time. I think it's been like, I haven't been to PF Chang's since like 2017. Food there is great, expensive. If I go, I gotta be ready to drop like, a bill and some change there. But it's not my go-to spot, I would say. You gotta be a little more ritzy for this kind of shit. But feel free to tell me about your Red Lobster. I'm not as against Red Lobster. I just don't live near one. I don't live, like, the nearest Red Lobster for me is like an hour and a half away. So, but again, also, I'm in Louisiana, so like seafood's really stacked out here, and Red Lobster 2 is kind of not the cheapest either. I mean, those cheddar biscuits are delicious, but I do remember reading them things are impressively bad for you. Like, they are incredibly calorie dense, and they are astronomical in fat. So they're good. They're delicious. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, if I go to, I'm gonna bang down like about 4 to 6 of them things, and at that point, I'm probably already hitting like 1,000 calories. I'm gonna be real. So, okay. Anyways, let's continue going here.
I do that because I started going on longer runs, so I need more time. And the reason I started going on long runs is it's better for what's called your parasympathetic nervous system, which is like your calm, relaxed, autonomous nervous system. I'm finished working out like 5:45, 6. I'll shower, get ready. If I have time, I'll check some emails in my home office. Primarily what I'm looking at then is the numbers from the previous day, which start coming in around that time. I'll drive into the office. It's about a 20-minute drive. I'll be in by 7 typically, or 7:30. My CFO is here, my COO will be here. We'll typically just pop into each other's offices, nothing formal. And then my day starts with meetings. My first meetings, I'll take at 8. In between meetings, I'm trying to keep up with the emails. I try to prioritize and get to the most important things first. I try to approve things quickly so that people can get to work. By the end of the day, meetings are finished. Whatever time I have left, I'll go through the emails that I didn't get to during the day. So I'll probably finish 5:36 is when I'll head home. I typically try to relax and kind of take it easy, especially during the week. Try to read, I might smoke a cigar and hang out on my patio. I get to bed early. I try to get some good rest, and then I start the next day at 4 a.m. I try not to email people on the weekends unless it's an actual emergency. So people can go spend the weekends in the mountains or whatever they do. So we have a culture that's on when we're here and try to not be on when we're not. When I took over, it wasn't clear what was going to happen and if the business was going to survive, right? Because that was a time when, again, restaurants were closed. It felt like the company's under siege and all these things and all these issues, but people really pulled together, chipped in however they could, went way beyond their responsibilities, helped the restaurants, helped each other. We've increased wages. We go market by market and make sure that we're in line or ahead on wages, invest in PTO, invest in medical benefits. And so the net of it is our people get to live better lives, and that's a good thing. So, these are things I'm proud of. We're just getting started. We're not at the finish line, but we fixed the foundation and we're excited to grow from here on out. It's one of those things where if you think about it, then other people will start to think about it. Like if I came in with an attitude that like I'm young and I need to make up for that somehow, then I would overextend on other things. I might.
All right, what was that? I missed that part there. The text caption. Fuck.
Things I'm proud of. We're just getting started. We're not at the finish line, but we fixed the foundation and we're excited to grow from here on out. It's one of those things where if you think about it, then other people will start to think about it. Like if I came in with an attitude that like I'm young and I need to make up for that somehow, then I would overextend on other things. I might be harsher than I need to because I need to prove that I'm a leader, or I might make comments that reflect that insecurity. I probably was more native to some of the things that we wanted to do, specifically the digital, the delivery services. So I was a customer for what was a younger demographic using apps to order food, etc. I'm happy the business is doing well. You know, it's not about me. Like, honestly, I stepped in because it was the best thing to do to get the best outcome for the business. The company doing well helps the people do well, and that's ultimately what's most important to me. You know, I've got two, the Chilean sea bass, which is incredible. And then we added the Wagyu steak over the holidays, and that's a new favorite of mine. So Chilean sea bass and Wagyu steak, if you haven't tried it yet, you know, you got to get that on the list.
Okay. So we move on now with our glazing here. Let's hear more about this, what do you say here? 8-mile run at 4 a.m. every day?
I never really have been a person that separated work and life. I worked in private equity, I was working all the time, but I liked it. I thought it was interesting, I thought it was fun.
Is this like a same segment or what?
I do that because I started going on longer runs, so I need more time. And the reason I started going on long runs is it's better for what's called your parasympathetic nervous system, which is like your calm, relaxed, autonomous nervous system. I'm finished working out like 5:45, 6. I'll shower, get ready. If I have time.
Okay, that's the same stuff here. Okay, so we move on from here now, and we have here a super short video.
I'm curious to get your take on how customers have changed. You know, pretty much everyone has been changed in some way by this pandemic. You know, are they ordering different menu items or having different habits? Do they tip differently? What are you seeing as customers return en masse, how different they are?
Well, I think the number one thing you've seen is that, you know, the things that they've learned during the pandemic, they haven't forgotten, right? So a lot of people shifted to off-premise delivery ordering. They started using QR code menus. Maybe they would have never done that before the pandemic. They got used to it. It's easy. You know, reservations, they want to make reservations digitally now. And so this sort of digital orientation that increased during the pandemic out of necessity, we've seen that hold even as people come back into the restaurants, right? So the dine-in business has come back. It's back to kind of pre-pandemic levels for us. But the off-premise business, the digital business, the engagement with technology, you know, that hasn't come down since we've kind of opened things back up in the restaurants. So, you know, we're seeing sort of a return to dine-in, but also a retention of some of the changes that took place during the pandemic, which has created a different world, of course, in terms of the overall picture of the guest.
A very short, very abrupt one right there. Okay, and then how about a tour of this here? This is another one that pops up for me.
I'm Judy Shaw for NYSE Floor Talk. Joining me today is Damola Adamolekun. He is the CEO of P.F. Chang's. Damola, it is wonderful to have you here. Thanks for joining me today.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, well now I am super excited to talk with you and of course to showcase this amazing meal that is here on our table.
Good.
But before we do that, just a quick note to our viewers. This interview is for informational purposes only. The NYSE doesn't recommend any investments or investment strategies. All right, so Damola, you recently opened your flagship restaurant in Union Square. Tell me about that.
We did, and we're very excited about it. You know, I'm a long-term New York resident. I lived here for about 6 years, so it was a point of personal pride to me to be able to open the restaurant in Union Square. It's a thriving neighborhood. It's an area that we wanted to be. We found a great location. We actually signed it in the middle of COVID, so we had a lot of faith in New York City and that it would be coming back to the greatness that it is now. And it opened in December. We had a wonderful VIP party to welcome everybody to P.F. Chang's in New York City, and it's been doing great, and we're very excited to be here.
So talk to me about how you've invested in the business and in technology.
Absolutely. So when we bought the business in the beginning of 2019, the key part of our thesis was that we had a great iconic brand. We could make some investments in the customer experience and in technology to take it to the next level, right? So the technology investments include things like our digital investments, so the website, the app, being able to order online and get delivery, and then what I call infrastructure investments, so things that make our people more efficient, right? So back-end investments in the kitchen to help us manage inventory better, investments in our host stand so that we can know how long a guest is going to need to wait for a table and quote them accurately. So investments throughout the system to make us better, to make us more efficient, to help our customer experience, and overall make the company a better brand.
All All right, so what can customers expect when they walk into a PF Chang's?
As wonderful as the food in front of me is, you can expect more than just great food. That's the number one thing. So the food was very good when we bought the company, and we haven't changed anything. The lettuce wraps have been on the menu for 30 years.
Yes, and definitely one of my favorites.
And are fantastic, and we bought it with no intention to touch them, right? They're exactly as they've
Good move.
been. Now what we've added though is the ambiance around the food, right? So great food is necessary and was what people want, but in addition to that, they want to have a great time. So it's lighting, it's music, it's ambiance, it's everything around the experience. So you can have a great time with your friends, you can come celebrate with us, in addition to having a wonderful meal. So that's really it, you know, and we're pleased to say that the customers reacted really positively. We've remodeled 80% of our restaurants.
Okay, I will say here, if you're curious of what PF Chang's is like, if you've ever been inside of a cheesecake factory, the interior there is like the definition of like overindulgent. And I would say the next runner up there in that spectrum is PF Chang's. Like you walk in and it's just like, holy, okay. Like you're not really mad that the bill's going to be like minimum 60, probably 100 for a party of two. Because it looks like it, definitely, for sure. And you're going to get a show. I mean, everything comes out fucking either smoking or like fucking, or like, you know, with the chilled out whatever here, like all just the whole thing. Yeah, it's really, really nice. But again, I haven't been there in like fucking, I've been there in forever though, so I don't even know like what it's like now.
At this point, since we bought the company 4 years ago, so now we have the new decor, including in Union Square, and our social scores have gone up when we bought the business from about 3.6 to 4.4 in the last month. So that's a meaningful increase, and people reacting to these investments we've made, and it's why we bought the business, and we're very excited to see that progress.
And what are you seeing in the state of the industry? What are we expecting here? What do we see?
You know, there's been a lot of waiting for the next shoe to drop, right? I'd say that, you know, obviously we had some very sharp stops and starts in the economy overall, which led to a lot of inflation last year. The inflation started to come down as the Fed has taken action on interest rates. The trade-off, of course, is that the economy slows down with higher interest rates. And so the consumer spending has been high, so we haven't seen, for example, lower spending in our restaurants. Our restaurants continue to do very well, but I think the concern is a lot of that spending is being funded by credit and by savings from COVID stimulus. And the big question the industry is asking is, when does all of that run out? And when does the consumer start to feel the pinch of their savings balance is now run down from the COVID levels? They can't take any more credit, and what happens at that point? So I think there's a lot of questions about what happens later on in the year from an industry and from a macro perspective. But for right now, the consumer is still strong. Unemployment's still very low. People can still get a great job, and wages are increasing. So we're in an okay place, but we got to wait to see what happens in the rest of the year.
Okay. All right. Well, talk to me about what we have here. I mean, I wish there was smell-o-vision because the smell and
Absolutely.
It's so delicious.
You should see when you walk into our restaurants. I spend a lot of time in our restaurants, and every time it's still the wonderful smell when you walk in. So absolutely.
So you do have the lettuce wraps. I see.
We do. We've got some of our favorites here, right? So we've got some of the classics. We've got our Mongolian beef, which is our #1 selling entree, and it's a very popular dish around the world. We have our Chang spicy chicken, which is another classic that's been on the menu for 30 years and is beloved.
Bro, this shit got me salivating right now. I ain't even gonna lie, bro. Fuck.
Throughout, and we wouldn't dare change the recipe. We've got our combination fried rice, and then we've got, of course, our Chang's, chicken lettuce wraps, right? This is the #1 selling dish in the country.
Wow.
And has been since really we opened the restaurants 30 years ago.
Amazing.
So it's amazing food, and then once you're done eating and you think you're full, then we
have dessert.
We show up with dessert, and we've got the Great Wall of Chocolate here. It's called the Great Wall for obvious reasons, given out how large the
Definitely
dessert is.
a great wall.
But it's, again, we want to really make a statement with the food. We want it to show up and really make an impression.
We about to get
it's
it
delicious,
done.
but also it's fun and it's entertaining and it's theatrical.
Yes.
And that's we call it theater at the table. So enjoy the food, but also have fun and enjoy the experience while you're there as well.
All right. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to enjoy the food.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's do it.
Let's dig in. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining me.
I appreciate it.
All right. So there's that, and let's see here. I think we had like one more. Oh no, yeah. Okay. So now we can talk about we should probably slow down here because that's more about him. I meant to actually cover here the Red Lobster thing. We had, I don't know if I had told you about this here, but there was like in the same way that Toys R Us went bankrupt due to private equity takeover, a hostile private equity takeover that saddled the parent company with debt, and then like vultures, or more like a parasite, just, exhausted the company out of money and resources at the expense of the company's stability, which has made a few people, again, private equity vultures, rich. Toys R Us died. And in the same way they were trying to do this with Red Lobster, they were doing what we would call a shrimp mafia. The private equity took over, majority controlling share. Shareholder pressure told them to do a bottomless shrimp entree buffet idea. And then simultaneously, there was pressure to now change your shrimp supplier to a supplier that just happened to be in relation to the private equity company. So they were able to literally just saddle Red Lobster with debt because they were charging Red Lobster a lot for the shrimp after the contracts were signed to be their exclusive shrimp provider nationwide, while also delivering a buffet shrimp thing that was already a massive money loss. So it was just, you could tell here that the intention was to sabotage the company, saddle it with debt, and then, do the whole like fire sale Toys R Us style cringe. And so I wanted to show you, I have here 2 videos about that, and then we'll just kind of watch until it's time for the podcast.
Red Lobster for the seafood lover in you.
In the 80s and 90s, America was that seafood lover. Known for its ever-evolving deals.
22 delicious new creations.
In 2000, Red Lobster was 16th out of the 500 biggest casual dining chains. But by 2023, cracks formed in the company's shell. Tens of millions of dollars in losses are piling up. Investors are losing their appetites.
Lobster.
And now, the company is in distress and up for sale. So, what went wrong? Red Lobster was founded by Bill Darden in 1968 with a single seafood restaurant in Lakeland, Florida.
He was really the inventor of casual dining. So casual dining was meant to be, an affordable meal, but a nice meal, like nicer than fast food, something you could take a date. Red Lobster was really an innovator there.
Just 2 years later, Darden sold all of his restaurants to General Mills, the cereal brand. Its goal? To expand Red Lobster's locations and menu.
Oh, and I'm getting called. Hey, what's up?
What's up, my guy?
Oh, hey. I was waiting to see when you are you already live?
I am live, yes.
Okay, I must have streamer mode. I didn't know streamer mode would hide if you were live or not. Okay, my bad. I would have actually been more idle had that been the case here. Okay. No, I can I'll be ready in like 2 seconds.
Okay.
Let me take a second here and just
and
I'm gonna throw you some cam here. You see me?
Yep.
All right, cool.
Make you full screen, and I gotta capture that.
Oh, we can do this. We can do this, bro.
Yeah, we're doing better. We're not gonna spend 30 minutes on
Okay, so I need to give you a green screen. I realize now that my green screen's actually, I do it on my side in OBS, so I need to do it directly for you first, right? Would you prefer that?
Right. Yeah.
Let me do that.
Absolutely. Oh man, your camera's slightly. I don't know why our cameras are like this.
All right, let's see if that.
Oh, it's a dimension thing. I get it.
Helps. Hope that helps. Okay.
It does to some degree. Yep.
All right.
Let's get it.
Okay. Getting there one thing at a time, and then. Right, 1 second, chat.
Where are your glasses? Huh?
It is, huh? No. Wait. Yeah, it is. Can I just make this full screen? No, there's no way. Okay, well that's that.
That's Fast that, bro. Fast that.
Yeah, I was bumping some Frankie Beverly music.
Okay.
That man has nothing but hits, bro. He has nothing but hits. And I didn't grow up on him, but being in this band, like I learned all of his songs, or I learned all his hits. And it's like, bro, he was him. He was him. That's why he was still able to tour for 40 years, you know what I'm saying, with the same hits. Like, he didn't make new music. It was just like, nah, I'm just touring on the stuff that y'all remember from the 80s and the late 70s. And that was him. He was just him. Like, they had a really big funeral for him in Louisiana. Like, they were like carrying a casket and marching through the street going crazy. They was doing, your state is on some stuff, bro. Like, you have to own that. You got to get your people.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was wild.
I don't know how to.
What's up now?
It's just like the green screen, right? It's like black for me and not like transparent. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. It's okay. That's not a big deal though. It's not worth like stalling over it. I just gotta. It was I actually like prepped everything on mine here, and it's an unforeseen thing on mine. So
yeah,
it's all good. It's all good. But the only thing missing here, I mean, is the last thing I can think of. I have everything on my end good to go. Is just this share chat thing. I don't know if you wanted to try it again and see if that works.
It didn't automatically do it.
So I sent you an invite, right? And you already you did it. Okay, there we go. I did it.
Okay.
All right, we're in there. I just had to click start share chat. I didn't know that was So what did you do there? What did you change?
I don't know. I just went to. Okay, so I went to.
Did you go to like the Twitch?
I knocked on the thing,
okay,
like
so
the Twitch thing, like that.
You did the knock on my Twitch.tv/Trihex, like the regular stream page.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now we know how to do
And then
that.
it just automatically. I think it maintained the settings from last time. I'm guessing.
Nice. Yeah, because I already had you pre-invited. Okay, cool. Then we're already there.
Yeah.
Trihex chat, say hello to Fanatiq's chat. You know, we're now in the share chat experience. You know.
Yep, and vice versa.
All that stuff there.
So last time I think I started with the intro. You think you could wing an intro for this episode, or would you rather I do it?
I'm not good at that. You.
I got you.
You do it. You make it sound good, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna let that's you, bro. That's you. You shine on that one, bro, for sure.
Okay, I'll do it again. We're good. You're gonna have to do it eventually.
I'll work up to it. I promise.
All right. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of the Butter Pecan podcast. Last episode was episode 0. We were kind of,
You're muted. You're still muted, yeah. We'll have to do a take 2 on that one. Oh, and now you're Discord gonna Discord, y'all. Damn, that's unfortunate. I don't know what just happened here, y'all.
That is hyper unfortunate. But whenever this happens, let me see. Please, OBS, don't screw me over. I'm trying to get it.
Well, I hear you at least. I hear you now.
Yeah. Let me see if I just deactivate and activate again. Will it fix it? And it will not. Please.
Oh.
All right. Let me go to NVIDIA broadcast. Let me see if that can fix it.
Prage chat, Prage.
Come on, man.
Oh.
Let's see.
And now your after image is like melting. I don't know what's
yeah. It'll give me a. Oh my gosh. Come on, man. Not like this.
I like that.
We were doing good. It took me a second to get it working the first time as it was. Let me see. I'm just unplug it and get back in.
Okay.
Come on, bro.
Why would my trying to think here.
There we go.
Oh, hey, you're back.
There we go.
Yeah, I turned away and you're back. Okay, you did it.
Okay. I just got to make sure I don't let this cord go loose. And I forgot my pop filter. Oh, here we are. Here we are. Okay, let's go. I try to keep the microphone as much off camera as possible, but it is what it is. Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Welcome to episode 1 of the Butter Pecan podcast. Last time was episode 0. The last episode was episode 0. It was kind of like the pilot episode where we were trying things out, seeing how we would be able to do it, kind of testing the waters, testing for the very first time, combining chat and just making it a better experience for all of the viewers. And so I think we're steadily improving. And so this is our very first actual episode. There will be some continuation from the previous episode. The topics today, we'll be talking about Trump's dismantling of the Department of Education, some of the social fallout that's come from people who have been Trump voters and families and members and friends who have cut them off as a result of their vote. And the third part will be a continuation of the last topic from the last episode. We are both very excited to be here and to try to provide some insight and entertainment for all of you. So, yeah, we're going to start this one on off. I guess I'll start with an intro one more time.
Yeah.
My name is Fanatiq. I go by Mr. Fanatiq on most of my platform. I think my YouTube is Ask Fanatiq. I am a musician, gamer, political pundit for some folks, podcaster, and I consider myself to be a conservative progressive and a biblical fundamentalist. And I have always been a very religious person, but also a very liberal person in the sense that I don't believe there's any compulsion for me to push my views onto other people. I'm very comfortable with people living as they see fit and maximizing their own happiness as long as it doesn't encroach on someone else's. And that tends to inform the vast majority of my politics. Personal morality for me stems very, very much from the New Testament and the Bible. It has shaped me in a very, very serious way. I don't identify with either party. I don't consider myself a Democrat or a Republican. I can see some things that Republicans believe that that conservatives believe that I would agree with, and then obviously some progressive things that make all of the sense in the world. I'm a debater, and I focus primarily on Afrocentric points, specifically reparations. But I talk about everything, as you'll see within this podcast, and I am very honored to be here with Trihex, a person whom I consider a friend, a confidant, and just somebody that I feel that has been there for me in ways that I needed at times, and I've tried to reciprocate that. That's that.
All right. Well, Fanatiq, that was a very flattering introduction here. And yeah, hello everyone. Likewise, I'm the other component to the podcast, the Butter Pecan podcast. I'm Trihex. For my intro here, I kind of wanted to tell you all more about who I am as well. And so a bit more if you don't know who I am. I'm a prolific speedrunner / gaming esports athlete, if you want to call it that. I've been officially like in the speedrun circuit since 2004. I went full time with Twitch as a successful broadcaster since 2015. I primarily enjoy speedrunning, gaming, rhythm games, DDR, trading card games. I'm into sociology. I'm very much an artistic person. I was a animation major in university as far back as 2011 with the intention to actually have my dream job be working at Pixar by before age 40, believe it or not. Bit more relevant to where we are right now here. I'm the face of probably the most banned emote on Twitch, the tryhard emote. It being the most popular depiction of a clearly black person means it's victim to a lot of unfortunate utilizations of dog whistles. So in the end there, I became aware that my blackness was overtly political, whether I wanted it to be or not at that point. The emote happened in 2012, but by 2015, it was definitely used for, a dog whistle or a surrogate for the N-word in a lot of chats, and it ended up getting banned in a lot of chats, including but not limited to the official Twitch chat, actually. Twitch.tv/Twitch. It's actually banned there if you didn't know. And a bit more about me politically. Again, maybe we'll cover more about that in another episode when we get a chance here. But politically, I was pretty disengaged, and I got active whenever I saw Senator Bernie Sanders rise to national fame with his attempted 2016 presidential run. I became woke and couldn't really unwoke at that point whenever I saw, when I was aware of the fact that economic populism does seem tangible if we remove all the monetary interest in politics and all the corruption and all the status quo enabling apparatuses that are currently rotting through the likes of Congress and U.S. politics altogether. So I've been really excited to like push for a better tomorrow in that regard, and I still to this day fight for economic populism, among other things as well politically here, which I'll be happy to get into more detail with our boy Fanatiq as we enter now topic 1. So,
Okay, do you want to kick it off, or do you want me to?
Well, you during your intro, you said that topic 1 was going to be. I don't know if you want to do the Department of Education.
Oh, I just
first,
mentioned them in different orders.
or if you want to do or if you want to open with the. I kind of like the social fallout one. The social fallout and stigma of Trump voters.
Yeah.
After election, let's start with that one actually.
For sure.
Let's
get it.
Let's go there. Then I'm just going to drop this real quick. All right, y'all. So this topic right here is I love getting into social dynamics. I find it very, very interesting here. So this topic here, so you may recall in 2020, the Trump supporting base, this is like more than just, let's just call it generally like Republicans, but especially the MAGA core of Republicans, we can describe them as like sore losers. They were immediately in denial that the election was like, gone. And you may recall that they were just like completely sore losers for several years, if not nonstop. I even argue here that the normalization that like Trump lost and that Biden won didn't really cement in that circle until like late 2023. It was because that's when Trump started to finally start admitting in certain interviews that, oh yeah, actually, yeah, when I lost, or when I win this time is what we would see slip up in certain interviews and whatnot. And going forward now to 2024, a much more unhinged, much more radicalized base now. What happened here is, Trump did win, maybe to their surprise. I'm not quite sure here. But it seems to be there's like now a lot of a general narrative that Trump voters are surprised that they're being exiled and being excluded from social gatherings like Thanksgivings or family reunions, or that, when family members are finding out news that they voted for Trump or that they were supporting Trump up to the election, that like, okay, listen, this is more than just politics. Like your moral compass is borked. And they're kind of they're kind of caught off guard here, and I think it's an interesting social dynamic to get into here. So
yeah.
So what do you think here about Trump voters who are? What I'm seeing is they're surprised that people are mad at them. I guess like family members are mad at them now or whatever. Is that an accurate way to describe it, or how would you put it down?
I mean, I think that is accurate. I mean, yeah, the fallout I'm seeing, I see some people being, crying and saying, "Oh, my family cut me off" and things like that, and and I see like parallels drawn where people say, why can't we just love each other even though we see things differently? Why can't we still respect one another even though we disagree on certain things? By the way, is it pecan or pecan?
That's up to you. Pecan
Tomato,
is more
tomato?
like pecan's more like a really like deep South kind of thing. Pecan, or I say pecan personally. Butter pecan.
Okay, I'm a pecan guy too. All right, so yeah, I feel like the social fallout for a lot of people is, again, I've seen these parallels where people will say, liberals are supposed to be the people who are significantly more, tolerant, et cetera, and that Republicans are labeled as bigoted, but the liberals are rather intolerant of Republicans, specifically MAGA. And I've seen that conversation happening. I saw a video of a guy who wore a MAGA hat at a Kamala rally, and then he went to a Trump rally wearing a Kamala Biden or Kamala Walls 2024 hat.
Right, he wore the opposition at at the rallies. Okay.
Yes. And what he said was, and it was so insane to me, because I feel like he thought he made a banger of a video, but it didn't make any sense. So he said, at the Trump rally that, yeah, he saw some people and that they were like, kind of being nice to him and saying that they disagreed, et cetera. He got an interview with some people where he was explaining what it was, et cetera. And then he said when he went to the Kamala Harris rally that he felt very, very unsafe and so on and so forth. Now, he didn't have any demonstrated things that he should have been unsafe, but he felt unsafe. I just felt like people weren't going to be and it's like that. If all we're going to go off of is your feelings, you didn't really prove anything there. But I think it opens up the conversation about why these two things are different. And I think I'm of the opinion, I'll just say very briefly, that they're not equivalent, and I can understand why people would hold the two different? Like, why would people would feel more intolerant of MAGA than they would of the inverse?
I agree. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that voting Trump in 2020 or 2016 is a very different thing than voting Trump in 2024. His 2024 campaign, quite respectfully, the last 2 years has been some of the most like racist, blatantly misogynistic, blatantly anti-rights, and just a buffet of misinformation that's just completely fueled by hatred because it has no basis in it. We can just kind of focus on, if we just, again, the one that really got me, that sticks with me here still, is the Haitians eating the dogs and cats. That one being uttered during the, that one being, or I don't know, I can't tell which one's like more annoying. Is it the Haitians eating dogs and cats in Springfield, Ohio, or is it the illegals crossing the border and taking black jobs? You know, and then doubling down on black jobs at that Black Journalist Summit. I don't know which one's more gross. Both are really fucking gross there, but like that just kind of shocked me, and I'm kind of sad that like white America didn't like take that one a little bit more to like, damn, bro, that's kind of crazy, right? Well, anyways, I'm sorry, I'm getting caught here. The point the point there being though, yeah, like clearly like 2024 for Trump is like you have to like, you know, overlook a lot of, he's being a dictator, he's showing some fascist tendencies, and yeah, he's being totally racist here, but he's the economy guy, he's gonna fix it. What's his plan? I don't know, but he's going to get it done. And it's just like, man, at some point you got to have like some kind of like guiding substance here to cast that vote. And I just feel like, it just feels like the kind of the cliche thing of like, yeah, you just don't care. You're okay with retracting back on women's rights. You're okay with like, you know, this person who's like demonstrably corrupt in many, many ways here. And just, how do you reach these people, bro? They're just like, they're so caught in the cult hive mind. I don't really know what to do other than just like, you know, again, exclude them from my social circle because they're so toxic. It'd be one thing if they're more passive in their engagement, but I mean, for these people who are looking this far past all the flaws of Trump and still cast a vote anyway, it's like, you know that it's partially their personality, and the minute you poke on anything, the convo will inevitably pivot into that here. You know, to me now, Thanksgiving is kind of permanently ruined. Like, the family gathering, I got a lot of them. There's some like Trump nuts, and it's kind of like, bro, I can't. I don't know what I even say, because you're gonna make the combo overtly political because you're so eager for validation that like Trump's gonna get it done, or Trump is already doing it, or that Trump did things that he didn't do. Like, you're so busy fact checking and correcting here, you can't even engage in the conversation, honestly, if you were to bother at all.
Okay, I can see that. You know, it's really insane. I've already told you I have a humongous family. 4 older brothers, 2 older sisters, mom and dad, same mother and same father for all of us. So we're a nuclear family of 9. And you know, because of that, you gotta believe that there's going to be differences in opinions for a lot of them. And I think it did give me a certain level of tolerance to where it helps me to like kind of navigate these things. For instance, I personally couldn't cut off a Trump voter because they voted for Trump, not a family member. I'm not lying if I'm saying, I would be lying if I said I didn't lose respect. I will lose respect for your intellect. I will lose respect for some of what I would say is your character if you do those things. But I've always lived in a way, again, where my morality is pretty specific. I'm a like very ascetic person, so it's hard for me to project my moral system and my beliefs onto other people. So I understand that different things motivate different people, so I understand why other people might make decisions that differ from mine. But again, I think cutting a family member off is really severe. I just think I would lose a lot of respect for their intellect and their morality. I also disagree entirely about the black jobs things, but that's not the topic, so I don't know how we might need to put a pin in that and talk about that at a later date.
Okay. Well, we don't have to
unless
engage
you
in
feel
it.
like we can.
We don't have to engage in it. Yeah. We can. You disagree about what? You disagree that black jobs wasn't racist, or like you disagree?
I didn't feel like it was. I didn't feel like it was offensive, racist. I felt like it was actually very, very. I hate using this word. I'm not going to use the word. I think it was grounded in reality, and I think it was a very sensible talking point, and I agreed with it.
Okay. All right. That is okay. Wow. That I was not ready for the bombs to be dropped here today. Okay. We'll have to come back to that
Table
one.
it for the end.
Yeah, we'll have to attack that one there, because I'm like, okay, bro. All right. Let's we'll resolve this topic then, I suppose, here. So
sure.
This is a topic that you pitched, and I don't have any like real personal anecdotes to share about this. I'm a painfully online person, and I have to make conscious effort to like go, see my folks. They're like 40 minutes away from where I am out in the country. And Thanksgiving hasn't really been a thing for me for like since comfortably 2019. But that wasn't because of Trump. That was because of like rather the quarantine, COVID, and just like, yeah, half my family just super anti-vax. And things just kind of like drifted away, with the, Thanksgiving for me became Friendsgiving more so. And that's kind of where I've been operating on at this time now here. I'm still close to my mom, clearly, but it's more like my cousins, and I got these like kind of off the kind of crazy uncles and all that. It's a little much, and I haven't seen them in a while, so it's just kind of like those drifts kind of came and went there. I'd say, whoever I didn't deliberately put conscious effort to maintain a relationship with, COVID kind of like made that drift really happen, and now we're going on like what's going to be approaching 5 years soon, so it kind of is what it is.
So I mean I do both. I do Thanksgiving and Friendsgiving. What's really funny is two of my very, very close friends. A while ago I was engaged and I was considering getting married and all those things, and I was going to have six best men. Not six best men, six groomsmen. One best man and five groomsmen. And all of those people were people who at one point at a point in time in my life I considered this is my very, very best friend. One person was like my closest friend from like age 4 to age 18. Then we kind of drifted apart. Life took us, whatever, when I hit adulthood. Then another person became like my best friend for like probably 3-4 years. And another person became my best friend for 3 or 4 years. And Knives became one of my best friends for like multiple years. And so all of these people were going to be like my groomsmen. And 2 of them are Trump supporters. I'm not going to say who those 2 are because I don't know if they want that out there. But sure. What it did was 2 of my friends are particularly close. 2 of those people are particularly close. People who would have been my groomsmen, and those people had like almost a really serious falling out because one of them like was very conservative, and one of them is very much a leftist, and he felt almost kind of betrayed by the fact that this conservative was like hanging out with him all this time and didn't tell him. I felt like, again, I have to respect people's ability to disagree. Because ultimately, I know people don't disagree with me. I'm a biblical fundamentalist. So then if I had like disdain for everyone who didn't believe like me, there would be very few people that I would actually be able to get along with. I do believe that there is an argument that a party can be so offensive, so racist, so heinous, that to support that party is to endorse a lot of the things that they're doing. And so as a result of that, you do create a bit of enmity between your ideology and mine, and so that if someone is doing something harmful to me and you can still back that person despite the harm that they're generating, then it speaks to an apathy out of concern for me. But it depends on what your motivation for voting is. Some people will only vote Trump literally because they believe that the economy would be better under Trump. Some people will vote that way for that alone. They're not interested in trans issues or LGBTQ issues or race issues, et cetera, et cetera. How do I tell a person that they have to value the race issue that I value more so than they value the economic issue that defines them? I don't think I have a leg to stand on, but I do understand some people will feel that way. So then it's a difficult thing to navigate because I can't tell other people how to react. I can't tell other people how to feel. But I do think a genuine friendship, a genuine bond, like a familial bond, should be ranked higher than a political ideology. I still feel that way, even if I'm going to be losing respect for the person who voted for Trump. Not all respect, because there's going to be familial bonds and stuff like that are outside of the scope of that political ideology. You think that's fair?
And you're hitting me. That's a hard question right there. Not gonna lie, I have not had this really challenged too much. If anything, I actually had and I kind of get something a little bit personal here, but I was kind of confronted privately by a friend by 2021 or 2022 here that because they used to come over to the house and we would all like play Smash and eat pizza or whatever, like on certain days. We just kind of gather here because like my crib was like the easiest one for everyone to come rendezvous at. And they stopped coming, I guess, because I was so overtly political. I don't recall really bringing up politics when they would come over and just like do Smash, but apparently these microaggressions had accumulated up here and they all kind of just like didn't really want to talk politics there. But that's what a friend privately had told me. And I guess I've been kind of like socially stigmatized because I feel like in my situation, it's more like, well, when they complain about the gas prices, I can bring it to its logical endpoint where it's like, okay, you're crying about gas running under Biden, but you're comparing it to whenever it was artificially low during COVID because of global supply chain. And, we can go into the substance about that and why things are how they are and if it's doing better or not. But then they don't really want to have a convo about the substance of like inflation rates or gas prices or oil barrels or anything like that here. If you go too far into the weeds on that kind of thing, you just kind of lose them, and because they don't have anything to add to that combo, right? You out info them, and then they're just kind of like, okay, this is like, you're a nerd, I guess, or whatever here. You're just not matching their enthusiasm for the topic in hand, and then I kind of just killed the combo. But it felt like they cared enough to bring it up to that topic. They did the classic Dunning-Kruger. They're like bringing up in confidence, and I'm just like, well, you sound really confident about things you don't really know much about, so I just don't know really what to do there. I feel like I kind of like hurt myself in a way, and I had to learn how to adapt to just like kind of like not making things get so. If people bring things up, just I let them lead a lot now. I try not to like overwhelm anyone in the conversation, I suppose. And I deliberately dumb it down to just more like, okay, if they want to go into an anecdote, we'll just speak in the anecdotes, but I'll use my anecdote to tactically bring it to something of more policy or causation if I know the cause of what they're complaining about.
Sure.
Whether it be like, used car prices like going up to a record high, or it be like whatever they're going to complain about, So I don't have much experience with like what you're bringing up here, where I have to like deal with an extended family for a prolonged period of time, or even in the best friend category. I just kind of, maybe also like you're in California and I'm in Louisiana. I'm in a much more like red state, so I deal with way more of the low information, like you're alluding to here, right? Economy, single issue people. That's the whole thing here. It's low information or single issue voters. They are voting for or against pro-life or pro-choice, or they're just voting for the economy with no substance of like what Trump's gonna do for the economy. Just that he sells the concept of a plan, and they kind of just go with that, right? So
100%. Man, I want to point out to you that I learned somewhat of the hard way, similarly, to kind of let other people lead. I'm a hyper opinionated person, just as you are. And I do spend a lot of times like kind of perseverating on different ideas and researching a lot and coming to this knowledge. And so then when people say stuff, like I think, oh, this is like an invitation. You want to have a conversation. So then I think I'm going to start talking to you about whatever said thing is. But then very frequently you start realizing, oh no, you don't know anything about this. This is just, there's just like kind of a passing thing that you've done with like almost no investment whatsoever. We can't even have a genuine topic on it. And if I go into that conversation, it's going to leave you in the dust, and you might even feel belittled and things like that. So I had to start learning this balance of how do I even have these conversations? And a lot of times it feels like death to self in a way, where I'm sitting here and I have this urge almost to correct what you're saying. And I just instead sometimes just nod my head and just kind of smile and go like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, sure. And I do this kind of thing where it's not an engagement. It's just me saying the passive thing so that you recognize that I'm acknowledging that I heard you speak, but I don't want to engage because I know where this conversation goes. Whereas if it wasn't for the fact that I'm trying my best not to rustle feathers, we would be having this conversation quickly. And I would be explaining to you very quickly why what you're saying is completely ridiculous. So it's kind of like a learned behavior of survival of like, people don't engage in this way, and I have to limit the way I engage with them. But then Trump supporters feel that way as well, where in a lot of situations, and it's not the exact same way. It's not one-to-one, because it's not like they feel like they have superior knowledge. Actually, very often they do feel like they have superior knowledge.
They are drunk in the Dunning-Kruger here. I don't know what you're talking about.
1,000,000,000%. I agree. But what you'll find is that a lot of times, like Trump supporters, they are in the same boat of, I don't want to rustle feathers, so I can't talk about it. I can't really communicate with you. And so then as a result of that, then there's like this secret, private Trump vote that exists within these people because they know that other people would be very, very intolerant of them.
Yeah. No, I can agree with that. I kind of wanted to just like, you asked me that question that's still in my mind right now. You asked me, how do I feel about putting personal friendships above political affiliation, right? That's a tough one for me because I haven't been pressed on that yet here, but also I don't really push. I've again, after that 2021 private convo I had, I'm like, maybe I'm unaware of like I'm unaware of how other people, maybe in my head when I'm communicating about politics, it comes off a different way. So kind of like what you were saying there, I've learned to just not poke the bear and not challenge people as much, unfortunately. And so I'm much more politically passive now. I mean, look, I'm in Louisiana. I see Trump flags and Blue Lives Matter flags and MAGA like skinned out trucks nonstop. It's like it's everywhere here. MAGA gear on Zoomers, on Gen Z, like little youngins running around with that shit on now, and I'm like, damn, bro, okay, that's crazy. And I just kind of like I'm just passive on it. I don't really know how to like. What was I gonna say about this actually? I don't know. I just don't bother anymore. I just kind of dissociate from it. So
Sure.
I don't really engage. But
So let me.
because if I did
Oh, go
engage, I
ahead.
feel like you were saying, my respect would go down. And because if I were to challenge them on like, well, because logically it's like, okay, well, like you're endorsing these like vehemently racist, exclusionary things, and does that not bother you? It's
Right.
kind of that's where my confrontation would go into that. You're guided by bigotry or some kind of like because like you don't have any substance over like what you're into here. Like you're supporting Trump, but like and you say he's an economy guy, well then it's like, yeah, tell me a policy that he's into that you're pro economy on, like, or tell me like what he did in the first term that was like pro economy. Like Biden
Right.
through the whole fucking mess here. I mean, what do you want to get into? 2018 tax
Yeah.
cuts. You want to get into like a 2019 deregulation. You want to talk about like pick one. Steve Mnuchin being the U.S. Treasury Secretary, dude looted the whole thing out to corporations all the way through here. The administration was full of cronies and Wall Street goons that would make the '08 bailout look like a training day comparatively. But again,
Yeah.
When you get into all this shit though, you just lose them, right? They don't know all these fucking names. They don't know that kind of shit here. So it's just like
They don't.
it's insulting how little they know, but how confident they are. So before I get like triggered and like go off on them and eviscerate them if I were to in the playground of logic, it's like, no, just it's not even worth. It's what will this battle do? It won't convince me anything. They'll just disengage when they get overwhelmed and whatnot and walk away or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a hard thing. It is a hard thing. I feel like on an individual level, depending on the level of intimacy in the conversation, people can be one. But I think a lot of times it takes. You're not going to see everything happen at once. I look at it like kind of like proselytizing my faith, right? If I'm talking to somebody about who I am and like me as a Christian or whatever, yada yada yada, and I'm trying to like share the gospel to a person, I don't typically expect me to have a single conversation with the person and they go, oh, you know what? Oh my God, you're right. Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and I'm a Christian now. Like, it's not going to happen. That's not the way life works for the vast, vast, vast majority of people. Typically, you kind of chip away at things. In fact, there's like studies that have demonstrated that like people who are in like leftist circles slowly but surely become more and more left leaning just socially over time, just from like encountering the arguments enough and so on and so forth. So I do think it's like, again, it's a little piece at a time. It's a little piece at a time. I had a friend, a girl broke up with him because she found out that he voted for Trump, and she went completely ham and said, "Oh, you hate women, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera," and just all of these things, right?
Right.
This person has been a lifelong conservative, lifelong, like him and his family have pretty much always exclusively voted Republican, and it wasn't about that kind of. I mean, Trump just happens to be the Republican now, and so in that situation, like she went really belligerent, like very, very disrespectful in every way, shape, or form. Very, very, very aggressive. Didn't matter that he had been inside her probably the day before. At that point, it was like, oh, you did this. The only way we have a chance of even making it is the idea that you have to vow to never vote for another Republican for the rest of your life. Like it was just very, very like line in the sand. Either you are exclusively a Democrat or we're not going to make it because my rights are being taken away, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it was like pretty extreme. And I thought again, maybe this is my own like projection, but I just think of how frequently I encounter ideas and ideologies that completely differ from mine, right? And I've just learned to be tolerant. Like the world, the United States is very secular, and I am very, very Christian, but I'm tolerant of secular ideologies. So then in the same sense, I would think some people could be tolerant of ideologies that differ than theirs, even in the political sphere.
you think USA is very secular?
Oh, sure, for sure.
I don't know, bro. I think geographically here, because I was gonna now bring into this next point about the whole thing where like I thought about it more now. And, well, first off, to end that sentence here, you're in California. I'm in Louisiana. These are like night and day different things here. So like,
yeah, 100%.
So I'm already,
sure.
I can already tell here that you're more sympathetic and you think you can reach. I'm going to be a bit geographical reductionist here, but like, you think you can reach across the aisle and engage with like function and purpose with like a Californian Trump supporter. On my end, I can tell what's governing my actions here. It's that like these Louisiana Southerners, Southern white men that I'm overwhelmingly seeing with the Trump stuff here. I can't reach them, bro. I can't even like, it's me challenging directly their core value the whole way through. If I bring up that Trump is not who they think is, I'm already an enemy. If I fact check them on any things that they falsely attribute to Trump's success, I'm a hater and whatnot here. And then if it's coming from a black source, they probably will add another racial filter into the whole thing here. Oh, here's this black dude know-it-all trying to like tell me about, and I don't want to make it that way, but that's kind of like, because it's so already like stacked against me here. It feels like I'm pretty much in a 24/7 Trump rally outside, and but also I'm the one black reporter asking like the neutral question. It's different if like the white passing person asks the neutral question to a Trump supporter. They'll go more mask off. They feel less judged. The black man with the obvious visible fro and big black nose is going to clearly make them feel the need to like present a little bit more to not be overtly racist.
Right.
So. In this case here, I just feel like it's like a lot harder for me to even bother there because I already feel like I'm creating animosity to myself at that point, which is the same reason why I don't have like I didn't have a Bernie yard sign in 16 or 2020. I don't have like a Bernie or any kind of like political affiliation bumper sticker. These boys have like Trump shit everywhere, all over the place. I keep it apolitical just to not put a target on my back for my own survival instinct here. So it's a bit different out here, I would say. A little bit of apples to oranges, I would say for sure.
Totally agree. And I think it makes all the sense being in the South and how religious those people are in general, why there would be a total difference in perspective. But we got outros here. I'm going to give a minute and a half. You do the same. And we'll go, I got to get to topic 2. So what I'm just going to say briefly is I genuinely believe that relationships and family and love and camaraderie and all those things aren't defined on any single thing. Just like I wouldn't define any of my relationships on religion as a whole, I wouldn't define any of my relationships on politics as a whole, and I wouldn't define any of my relationships on gaming as a whole, because there's been such a crossover where some of my gaming friends are like, we become like really, really close personal friends that extends so far beyond gaming. And likewise, I think that there's going to be people that I'm just going to have some disagreements with about certain things, but ultimately, if it gets to the point that I can't have conversations with my family, then it seems like there's something wrong there. Because all conversations should be had from a basis of respect, mutual respect. And again, it's hard to respect like an abject Trump supporter. It is going to be harder to respect them, but I will always look for respect in other arenas where it's like, okay, I don't respect your political opinions, but I respect your character, or I respect your heart towards me. I respect things that you've done for me in the past. I respect things that we share together, memories that we've had, et cetera, et cetera. And those things typically are going to usurp any sort of disdain I have for the political decision you made. And I think that's the optimal way to be, because ultimately we have to have conversations and growth in order to be able to move forward as a country. If all we do is just divide and cut off, then that just puts people in these bubbles where they will never be reached, and it further entrenches people in these really bad positions.
Okay. For my outro, I will conclude some points I had here actually. So let's I'm just gonna bang through this real quick here. So in the end, I think here that women are particularly disgusted with husbands or men or boyfriends or deep, affectionate, romantic inclinations, because a vote for Trump feels like it's explicitly anti-women's rights. The fact that Project 2025 explicitly spells out here that they want to like abolish no-fault divorce, another reinforcement here that the war on reproductive rights and the abolishing further of abortion is really just, it's not about any kind of like concern for the women. It's really about control and proliferating on just like a patriarchy of men dominant society here. Why else would you want to outline removing no fault divorce if not for the fact that like now there needs to be, by the way, just a good idea here, no fault divorces whenever like, you know, the woman or the both parties have to agree to divorcing rather than just having one participant in the party agree. So there needs to, like, if you see red flags of like a potential abuser or rapist and you want to get out of that, you know, before, I want to say before like the mid 60s, you couldn't do this. Actually, it required the men's. It's very similar to like, you know, women getting hysterectomies and all that. Here, you need the husband's explicit written permission to even operate in your own body for your own choice and whatnot. So it just feels like it's an attack on women's rights. And in the end, here, the vague guise of economic recovery just doesn't really cover what could be seen as like a personal betrayal to the women in question here. So I'm not, honestly, for me, a bit of a hot take here. I actually understand where perhaps your friend's girlfriend may have come from, though I don't know the context of how she did it here, but this is not an uncommon thing. This has been happening there. There's been tons of phone banking evidence here. The fact that like during the Harris campaign for phone banking, that many times the Republican husband saw would, you know, deliberately the women and the wives here felt ostracized. They couldn't even feel safe even like engaging with Harris campaign phone bankers because the husbands were so vehemently against the whole thing with their Trump drone thing, everything else here. So that's kind of where I would end it on. But you know, we'll have to kind of come back and go further into what this could mean in the future. But yeah, the social complications of Trump voters, very very interesting here. I almost want to call them in a way sore winners, but they certainly were sore losers in 2020. But it feels kind of weird now.
100%. Okay. Well, that's that. I think that was a pretty good conversation. I think topic 2 it's also particularly interesting. This conversation was about Trump's like determination that he wants to dismantle the Department of Education. Now, as a lot of you guys know, that was something that was very, very clear and outlined in Project 2025 that they wanted to dismantle the Department of Education. Now, Trump knew nothing about Project 2025. He just hired several of the authors. Several of the authors were people who had worked for Trump and were part of his administration at various levels in his administration. So the idea that he knew nothing about it sounds crazy, especially when he keeps telling you over and over again, I intentionally didn't read it because I want to say I don't know anything about it. I intentionally didn't read it because I know that he knows that he probably agreed with the vast majority of that. So then it's better not to read it. To be talking about you want to be the president of the United States and you have one of the largest conservative think tanks in the world, I think the fourth largest think tank, period, and they're talking about this article for the conservative perspective, and you running on the conservative ticket don't want to read it. Sounds crazy to me. Why would that be? Anyway, with that being said, he is dismantling the Department of Education. And I think that there's going to be insane fallout from that. I think the only people who would value, like, who would agree with that type of action are people who don't know what the Department of Education does, what its value is, and why it's so important for American culture and just for education in general. This is one of the greatest blunders that Trump could do. But we're going to see so many more of these over time.
Yeah. So I think it is worth going into a bit of the substance of like what the Department of Education does and what is at stake here if such a thing were completely to be abolished. But I think before I get into that here, I think it's more important to perhaps psychoanalyze those who are endorsing this or who are into it or who perceive it as like a good thing. I know it's like a really stupid thing to like endorse, but so is also the idea that Trump's gonna fix the economy. It's just like, you know, the thing I'm concluding here is that like the modern voter now, like the majority, right, the normie, if you will, they are not substance or rehearsed on policy. They don't know civics, and they're very much they're aware that they don't like how things are now, right? Groceries are too high, things are unaffordable, rent's too damn high, housing is too expensive, everything's just cost of living is out of control and whatnot, for sure. They're generally unsatisfied with the current economic climate, and they're yearning for a revolution. So anyone who's feeding them the narrative of like, let's just like nuke this shit and create a whole new thing seems to be what's in their favor. Like they're probably not happy with how the education paradigm currently is in USA, and they're not happy with the economic one either. And they're just kind of like, anyone who's promising just kind of like do something sounds more appealing, even if it's a radical thing, than perhaps the contrast of like a democratic messaging, which is more like perceived as, not saying it is, but perceived as incrementalism. We're gonna dab here and there and do a couple of little tweaks, and hopefully it'll get better and whatnot. We're applying glue sticks and rubber bands rather than like reconstructing the whole thing here. So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of important to start there. But yeah, from here now, if you want to get into the Department of Education here, I mean, generally how I perceive it is that the Department of Education is a federal entity that is like generally there to help establish a baseline standard of quality for education nationwide. They don't dictate really anything. You still have your local school board jurisdictions that will determine here what's taught, what curriculums are adhered to, and things like that. They're not like the single like distributor of funds here. That is still done by like local property taxes and from state budgets. They only the Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of there's like a subdivision of the Department of Agriculture that handles like the whole like the school lunch thing. But in the end here, it's only 8% of accumulatively those three departments that does the total $1.15 trillion nationally for education. So they're a very small part. So when I hear the arguments of the deficit hawks, ready to like chop, I'm like, yeah, well, that's not exactly, the DOE is not like the thing that's like hemorrhaging money across the whole way there. It's all predominantly locally funded. And it comes back here to the whole, if you want to get into the nitty gritty here, let's talk about how property taxes allocate an unfair win-lose situation for if you're poor and in a bad area, and how those schools continue to have no resource to actually improve. Further exacerbated by the 2002 George Bush No Child Left Behind Act. But, they don't want to hear all that crap, though, anyway. So,
Sure.
So what are your thoughts before I yap any further here? What do you got?
I mean, I totally agree with everything that you said. I like the idea that we have like a federal institution whose job it is to kind of standardize education to a certain degree to make sure that there's a baseline of quality. They're like literally specifically responsible for providing funding for special needs education. Right, which can apply to autistic people or any other disabilities that are needed. The federal government is like very, very much responsible specifically for that. I think it's called, is it like IDEA? I have to look it up. Yeah, it is. It is Individuals with Disability Education Act. That is what makes them have to have a certain standard of education. I have two autistic nephews. Both of them were like hyper reliant on that because the local public schools were trying to do everything they could to undermine some of their care. But simply because of the fact that there was a requirement for a specific standard of education is why they were able to make certain appeals, and why the school district eventually got sued and lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And my nephew was able to get his one-on-one, his occupational therapist, his speech therapist, his iPad, his all of these things, behavioral therapist, all of these things. So with that being said, it's absolutely necessary. Then only we can talk about what specifically things that they have done that the Department of Education is responsible for when it comes to making sure that low income people have specific funding. So things like STEM and things promoting education in those regions. They're responsible for the Pell Grant. That comes from Department of Education, the federal government, which helps people be able to go to college without going into massive amounts of debt. If you're using the Pell Grant, especially at like a community college and things like that, the combination of state services and the Pell Grant can make it to where actually going to school is like legitimately profitable if you're going to like a public, a community college and things like that. And you can still get an AA like without going into any debt, and it'll actually help subsidize your living while you become an educated person. And an educated population is obviously more advantageous, more productive, et cetera, et cetera. So if we want to believe in this American working dream, the Department of Education is actually helping to fund and create opportunities for that American dream. And so the idea of dismantling it either reeks of ignorance or hatred, because if you hate like poor people and low minorities and minorities and low income people and all of those things, then yeah, sure, get rid of the Department of Education, because nothing is going to hurt them more than that.
Yeah, I completely agree there. Let's keep spitting. It's like we can go. We got some time to fill here. I like this actually. So let's go into the biggest negative here, because I do want to go into other benefits that you didn't list that I think are worth sharing, but I also want to go into like what's at stake with the DOE being, I guess in this case, like advocated to be abolished. And the main one I think people would probably latch onto. I'm choosing this one here not because it's the worst one, but rather because it's the one I think will trigger an emotional response from people who are who are unaware or underinformed. The DOE is responsible for, like you said, individual education plans, IEPs. And so this is like, if we're not just talking about special ed kids. We're not just talking about special needs kids. We're talking about broadly, whether you need speech therapy, whether you need, we're talking about handicap accessibility. We're talking about like handicap ramps. If you need an elevator for a 3-story building, like these things are like these mandates to have those things taken care of and are funded to have those things happen are all, wheelchair accessible water fountains. We're just talking about like the whole shebang here. Like if the DOE is abolished here, then any of those accommodations or those programs or any of that stuff here is all at the behest of the state budget. And I promise you what'll happen then is that I think the red states that are not already economically not great, they get carried federally by the blue states with their GDP and revenue. You'll see here a lot of haves and have-nots. And guess what? You're going to very quickly see someone who's California educated versus someone who is Arkansas educated. And it will be a night and day difference. Arkansas education is going to be learning that dinosaurs aren't real and that the Earth's 2,000 years old. And then on the other end here, you're just going to not be real world ready. It's fundamentally anti-education. We're just abolishing a standard of accountability, and it's going to be letting loose local politicians going fucking nutty.
Well, just to correct you really quick, as a biblical fundamentalist, it's not 2,000. The earth is 6,000 years old. I read my Bible and I know.
Okay, all right.
No, I'm kidding.
I wasn't even the hill I was going to die on. I just
I'm kidding. I'm not a biblical literalist. I'm just being a silly idiot. But yeah, you're 100% right. But I think we already have that now. We already see like there's like in rural areas and like in red states that the education level, the literacy rates and all those things are already significantly worse. They're already a less educated population, point blank, period. So it sounds insane to me, but the people who genuinely already are failing their people on education are doing more to like fail their people on education. But this also just fits into the Republican ideology. What Republicans have always been about is about big business, and big business means somewhat privatizing the education process.
Yep.
That's what they want to do. That's why Betsy DeVos was made the Secretary of Education last time when Trump was in the presidency. And who was Betsy DeVos? One of those people who was like, one of the owners of these charter schools, of a foundation that like operated charter schools, and that was her area of work. And that was her area of income. So when that person is advocating for school choice, what school choice means and what Republicans kind of slip under is that school choice means that now that we'll start kind of generalizing the amount of funding that happens so that people can start using their funding to go to private institutions so that they can start going into their enclaves and stripping everyone else of their education. And that's what they've always done since Brown versus Board of Education 1 and 2 passed, right? People always talk about part 1. Part 2 was the part where, they said that they needed to work, not with due diligence, with due speed. What was it? What was the word? I can't remember the exact phrase, but either way, the fact of the matter was, all of this segregation in education happened as a result of Brown versus Board of Education, where all the red states started passing what they called pupil placement laws, which started creating zoning and things like that so that they could place people into specific schools. Private schools were erected during this time that were like pretty much like they knew
legal
that would be a barrier.
segregation. Yeah.
And the people are still segregated to this day. Let's talk about teachers for a second, because this is something that the Department of Education is also particularly responsible for. There are always teacher shortages and training gaps, and the Department of Education is specifically responsible for creating programs to train teachers that can adequately meet the needs of children in these schools, which there's always a shortage for science and mathematics. For people who are experts in that field. And because of the shortage, then schools might hire people who aren't adequately prepared, adequately fit to teach these children. The Department of Education is responsible for even doing the bit that it can in order to offset some of those shortages. So if you want to see people get dumber and get and lose education in science, technology, and mathematics. Now, mind you, Republicans are always talking about how blue liberals want to get education in gender studies and all these other things, and but then you're getting rid of the department who's responsible for advocating for STEM. Everything about this is just bad.
It's bad.
It's just bad in every way.
Well, okay, not just bad. I want to say here, bad and stupid. It's
Sure.
both. It's bad and stupid the whole way through
Right.
here.
Yeah.
Some more quick facts. 80% of HBCU funds on research and development sorry, I just lost my research and development grants, STEM programs, infrastructure financing. So that's important to cover right there here, because I do feel like there's like there is a non-zero amount of people who are supporting the DOE abolishment, and because of, I mean, it's not everyone, it's just the really gross people here, because of some like white suffrage thing. They see like what is it, the thing where like minorities get the selection or whatever.
DEI, affirmative action.
Affirmative action, yeah. They see affirmative action as an attack on their whiteness for some reason, and like they're just like, no, you can't. We're post racism. You can't have anything like that, bro. What about me? And then they hate HBCUs. Let's not forget here, by the way, for context, that you brought up Betsy DeVos, that bitch. I'll say that. I don't care. She made a comment in 2018 that triggered the shit out of me, because she pretty much said the silent part out loud here. She was like, I don't get why we're creating division with things like historically black college universities. She herself being unaware of the blatant history that those started because of they were racist, they were discriminatory, they segregated here. They didn't give us anything, so we had to start our own to help ourselves out here. So she even the origin. Imagine being like a Secretary of Education and not knowing that basic fact. It's just insane. Nuts.
Sure, because qualifications are only needed for people like us. The qualification for what people need, for people like them, is just have white skin. When Obama was running for office, the number one complaint was that he was inexperienced and underqualified. That's what they said. He was inexperienced and underqualified. A man who had been in political organization for God knows how many years, like in Chicago, right? And then literally ran for Senate and was an actual senator for multiple years. That guy was was unqualified. And then the next runner up was Donald Trump. Like, help me here.
Oh no, yeah.
What are we talking about for qualifications? But that qualifications don't matter, because as long as you have white skin, it's good enough. We talked about the idea that when it comes to like, hey, we're going to control for job applications and make you mark if you have a felon. Well, a white person with a felon has a better callback rate than a black person with no criminal history. So being black is a greater penalty than having a felony. Right? So that qualification is just white skin. Betsy DeVos knew nothing about, she knew about how the privatized education in her charter school. She knew about the business, right? Because it wasn't like she was coming up with curriculum. It wasn't, she wasn't like the one implementing programs. She wasn't doing any of those things. She was the funding for a business, right? She was a capitalist, which I don't have a problem with capitalism, but that's what she was doing. She provided the capital, but that was enough. Trump's children, just being the children of Trump's children, that was enough to get them in positions. What the freak did Ivanka have to be at that G7 summit? It didn't exist. But again,
baby, that's nepotism all day there.
Of course, but all
Jared
that
Kushner
matters
being the
is that
Secretary
white skin.
of Foreign Affairs. That was crazy. Now you're not wrong there. It's definitely something. Let's get back on topic though, because we're bringing up these points here, and I still have more. So we can all agree here that the abolishing the DOE is a bad idea, clearly here. But let's go into the schemes that they're planning here. Like let's just take a second here and kind of go full bad faith on Republicans, because it's like, okay, obviously there's the idea of like a proposed revolution because of the dissatisfaction currently with everyone. Everyone agrees that our education is not good right now. The paradigm is definitely lackluster. Every metric following since quarantine has plummeted off of a fucking cliff. It's worse than ever here. We did not, the entire U.S. education did not modernize to prepare for being able to deploy anything during quarantine. We didn't go into an all infrastructure. Just people, if you didn't have internet, if you were poor, broken in a non-internet situation, you were just kind of like fucked over the whole way through. And studies had shown here that generally all U.S. students lost 2 years of education retention because of just like, no stimulant and just rotting on consumerism like Fortnite and whatever else here, et cetera, et cetera. So let's go into like what I perceive here as like the bad faith arguments that there are, or the bad things they're trying to do here, right? You brought up here accelerating privatized education. I completely agree. This is a bad thing here. Most nations that are like adhering to the wealthier nations usually abolish private education because they already caught on here that the idea like you have to have the rich and wealthy class have the same access to public education, because then the wealthy will contribute happily to make sure that their offspring get a quality education. So you got to abolish it. It's kind of like having the profit motive in healthcare. It just fundamentally is at war with itself here. Privatizing education is just reinforcing intergenerational wealth, the haves and the have-nots. And then because you won the genetic lottery of being born into a rich family, you therefore have the ability and the access to get quality education. It's fundamentally not fair, right? So there's the accelerating privatized education. There's generally the whole thing about the war on education that started with Reagan here. People forget here that where we are now with the student debt crisis, that really, the starting point of that actually came from Reagan, though not surprising for everyone here who's black adjacent, you already know here, but like, Reagan's the devil, nothing new there. But Reagan actually started making public community colleges or public state universities. These were initially damn near free in the late 70s and early 80s. Reagan was one of the pioneers of like deliberately charging for tuition in effort to make the access to information harder, because he admitted this in some interview like back in like 81 here that like the educated are not going to vote Republican. We're not going to win them over. So we have to lower the bar of the average voter. And in the end here, 4 decades later, Republicans have certainly done that now. And then the last one here I want to say is Bush's No Child Left Behind Act in 2002, which of course, as you know here, started creating these overemphasis on standardized test scores and testing metrics. And that led to, if you perform badly and you don't meet the arbitrary 2011 deadline to like meet this base like 75% scoring across math and everything else here, you get some federal funding withheld, and because you're proving that you're a bad school. And at that point, so you combine No Child Left Behind with Republicans continually underfunding education, combined and exacerbated with the '08 recession, which definitely did affect certain things, including the prime mortgage crisis, which then trickles down to the property taxes. And it's just like, what can a failing school in a low income area really do when you're just getting fucked over in every direction possible, Combined with the fact that these property taxes that are accumulated for school budgets, they're not like accumulative for the state. It's the region. So the wealthy districts, the Hamptons, the Beverly Hills, they have like infinite money, and then like the sticks area, the rural areas, the low income areas, they have nothing. They don't like collectively share the pool. It's just per region, and it's like, how's it gonna work there?
Well, yeah, just to be clear, the federal government is specifically responsible for providing specific, I think it's Title I funding, which is something to offset discrimination, and it's supposed to increase the amount of funding that goes to lower income areas, specifically so that they can assure a specific quality of education. But I wanted to talk on the thing that you mentioned about the Reagan and the racism, or I'm sorry, the Reagan and like his desire to make college less affordable. It wasn't just that. To my knowledge, the primary reason why he wanted to start charging tuition for colleges, it happened immediately after segregation became illegal. Because once the Civil Rights Act and things were passed, and black people were now no longer allowed to be, segregated in schools, so we had to have access to school. So then at that point, then they said they wanted to create tuition to keep out undesirables. That was his actual words. And so then, and I love the thing, because you were saying that, hey, if we kind of make people be a mixed bag, like a pool of people, then the wealthy people will fund the education because it benefits their children. And that's absolutely true. I agree with that. But what you'll find is the opposite happens if you look at things from a racial lens. White people will spite, what do they say, cut off their own nose to, smite their own face. Basically, when it came to like the student loan crisis that we're in, is literally born from the desire to make education expensive in order to keep out black people. And now the majority of student loan debt holders are white people, right? And you have this big bubble of student loan, this crisis that's happening specifically because they decided we want to keep out black people. So it hurt them in the long run. Same thing with like literacy tests. Literacy tests were problematic because nobody could really pass those tests. So then the uneducated white people would get punished too, but just because it would disproportionately hurt black people, they were fine with it. So education is obviously like a benefit. to the country, and we know it, we see it, right? Which is why the government started funding education, and we're like creating these state colleges and stuff like that. It benefits the population, and educated populace is more productive. It's safer. It's just in every ways, it's just better. But when it came to black people in this country, they've done everything they can to get rid of that education, and I think that dismantling the Department of Education would just make that worse.
Yeah. I guess just to kind of conclude the topic here, I'll challenge you. Okay, can you think of any good thing? Like what even? Okay, okay, because let's entertain the Trump supporter for a second here, just so to make it more entertaining, right? Because we're both agreeing on everything here. We're bringing the DOE abolishment's bad here. What is the idea? Like, what is the rose tinted scenario that you think a Trump supporter is envisioning right now with DOE abolishment? Like, they're thinking, okay, we're going to abolish DOE. It's going to be up to states. Are there going to be any federal mandates for education quality, or it's going to leave this entirely up to states and have like a per state variable going forward? Like, what's even he announced he's going to tear it down. And I don't know if you saw here, Trump did say he did a little 3-minute recording of like his 10 points, which we can talk about all that here if you want to go further in, because I actually hate every single point he made there. Every single one is gross. Yeah. But I'm just trying to understand, what's the plan there, dog?
So I don't think that there's necessarily a plan. I think they have a concept of a plan. But what ends up happening is, I'm sorry, I had to do that every time. No, but I can't think of what their goal is, but I can tell you what motivates them. It's just really faulty logic. Follow me.
All right.
People point out that since the Department of Education was created, which I believe was in 1979 by Carter, that education as far as math and science literacy has decreased from that time into where we are now. So because those two things happened, and they just say, see, so the creation of the Department of Education is what led to the decline in math and science literacy. It's just bad-brained, right?
Yeah, false positive all the way through.
Right. So people will always associate any random, correlation with causation, and so then that's their motivation. They don't have a plan for, okay, so what happens when we get rid of this? They don't even know what the impact of it. They don't even know about the idea that it funds middle,
You're right.
That it funds teachers
it's like when
that.
Trump
There's
says,
nothing.
Let's get rid of Obamacare, let's get rid of the ACA, and then then after we get rid of it, then we'll figure out a Republican healthcare plan. Which and remember that blunder happened, and they had nothing in the end. They couldn't even figure out a plan.
Yeah. They didn't, and then he came up with a plan, and if you remember, his plan was going to make 40 million people lose health care. 40 million, right? So again, it's just this is bad because Democrats did it and Obama, and I want to erase his legacy. So this is bad. Let's get rid of it. And it's okay, so what's the impact? What is it actually doing? Why would you get rid of it? And this brings up a very valid point to me, and this is something I really wish people had a better grasp on. Anytime you're thinking about making gross changes to systems and things like that, you have to understand what the system's effect is first. If you change things and you don't even know what the benefit of those things are, you can get into really scary areas, especially if those things were really, really beneficial. A perfect example of this, I'm going to try to speed through this analogy. I grew up in the valley during my early years, San Fernando Valley. And there's all these dams and all these things everywhere, right? And I didn't understand why all those dams were there, because they were pretty much dry since I was a kid. It'd be there wouldn't be even any water at them or anything. And I was like, what is this for? And the reason was because there was these crazy, crazy, crazy floods, because we're in a valley, and there were these floods were so much property damage because the water had nowhere to escape, and it rained really, really crazy at certain times. And as a result of that, the military got in and were we're going to create these really complex waterways and channels and all these things in order to make sure that we can get rid of the water when we get into these situations, so that there's not a flood like this. People died. Right? As a kid, me being there and having never been in that flood, I think it was in the 30s and 40s, having never experienced it, I'm just what the freak is the point of these dams? Why don't we just get rid of that and build something else in its place? And then, of course, maybe a couple years ago, we got all that crazy rain again, and people were kayaking in the street. If those channels and things weren't still there, people would have died again. The flood would have been crazy again, and we would have had the same problem. You can't get rid of something that is created in a system without fully understanding what that thing does, because you put yourself at risk if that system is there to protect something. And the system, the Department of Education, was there to protect Title I, to make sure that underserved communities and low-income people were able to get good stuff. They're there to, they literally protect Title IX to make sure that women and black people and minorities and people whatever, that schools don't discriminate in that way, because Republicans will do that if they are given the opportunity, as they still do to this day. So these are protections to get rid of that, to make sure that, like, when it comes to like special needs people, hey, if my child has special needs, you can't just say, well, we don't really have the resources necessary to help them, so we're just going to put them in this class, and when they're 18, we're going to let them out of school, even though we haven't educated them, we haven't created an individualized educational plan, we haven't done any of the resources necessary to offset, some of these disabilities and deficits, but we're just, put them into school and hope that they fare well, right? You can't do that. But if you understand what it's doing, then you understand how bad this is. The problem with Republicans is they don't mind just doing the thing, right? Whatever.
Yeah, they don't mind taking a bulldozer and just ramming through something first, and then even having a plan later on. You're right. It's
right.
Ram first, impulsive instinct first, logic and methodological approach second.
100%.
Also, what you're bringing up here reinforces too, by the way, the whole anti-vax thing as well, because we're so far removed from the miracle of penicillin in the 1950s that people have never lived with the threat of what it was like pre-vaccines. And now, that's kind of where we are here, right? Your damn analogy was very analogous to the vaccine stuff here. Though yeah. Another topic for another day. But yeah, no, you're spitting here. Here's my question. Okay, you're spitting right there. Last point about this topic. Sure. So how do you, okay, so me and you can agree here, yes, these people, they're advocating for abolishing a system they don't even understand, and that's really stupid because it might lead to some unintended consequences. How do we reach them? How do you tell a pro-DOE abolisher, Trump supporter, how do you even this is where I suck, honestly. I don't know how to, I conclude they're too far in their cult mentality. And the minute that you confront their core values of that Trump, everything Trump does is good, and he's all the good things happening in this country, they're gonna tune out. Okay, you're not for my boy, you're not for Trump, so therefore you're an enemy of mine because you're confronting my core values. I don't want any more. They dissociate. How do you, if we can agree on this solution that abolishing the DOE is bad, how do you get to them?
Yeah,
you seem more thought about that kind of thing than I am. I'm just they're too stupid. I'm really on the they're just too far gone. We have to work around them and just and build recruitment of people who are open to hearing that this is stupid to do.
Right. The secret is manipulation.
Legitimately. You agree with okay, hang on. Okay, well, go ahead. Okay. Manipulation. Yeah. All right. Okay. Now you're talking my language. All right.
I'm telling you, a lot of time in debate, what I do is I manipulate people. I talk from the lens that they already hold dear, that they hold special, and then at that point I tie or associate the thing that I want to the thing that they hold special, such that they've already agreed. So then the solution flows downstream logically from whatever it is that they're talking about. So in this kind of a situation, my approach would probably be man, I really, really hate all of these stupid, studies and things where people go to college and get into crazy debt because they're studying things I don't know, just African American studies or gender studies or so on and so forth that really doesn't actually contribute to our GDP and it's not really beneficial. I would say those kinds of things, right? So then they're just yeah, these blue-haired liberals and this school becoming Marxists, et cetera, they're crazy. Hey, and it's right. And what are you going to do with a degree in gender studies? What do you actually do besides promote?
Your microphone cut out again. No, you're still muted.
2, 1, got it.
All right, cool.
There we go. So then you go, what you really need to do is you got to what we really should be focusing on the most, what really affects us all is STEM. And of course, every Republican's going to agree, right? Mm-hmm. Forget critical race theory and gender studies and all this DEI stuff. STEM is what matters the most. And it's yeah. So if we have any department in the government, then that department should be something to make sure that STEM is available in these schools. That's what we need. So we need a government that will sit there and make STEM be really promoted. And they're yeah, of course. And he's you know what? Actually, the Department of Education is the thing that does that. So that's, and then now at this point, you've already, they've agreed with everything you've said. And now for the first time, they're oh, I didn't, because they didn't know that. Right? They didn't know that was a thing. So now they're just holy smokes, that's what they do? Then yeah, I want that. Now they'll start maybe trying to find other ways. Well, I still think it's bad. They don't have a real reason for why they think it's bad, but just this is what I've been told to believe is bad, so I want to get rid of it. But
Oh, I lost you again.
Thought at the back of their mind that's picking away at them that says, "Hey, we got to do this thing," and that's how you do it.
Gotcha. No, no, you're spitting there. That's what I do. I'm just really impatient there because like it takes. I did this once. I'm sorry. I know this topic is going long here, but you're I thought this was a really good point here. So I tried to de-radicalize a Trump voter IRL. Like it was an IRL normie friend, right? Not anyone I know online. So it's if I'm talking online, I don't pad shit, right? I just call you an idiot and move on because you're constantly being stupid, right? But offline, Michael, not Trihex. Okay, yeah, I tried. It took like 3 hours of just like of like us sharing anecdotes just to kind of like make these bridges start to spawn, and then when he would throw me like a clear path to connect the bridges over a shared experience, something that his values are clearly progressive or like liberal, and it had to be like something that happened before the Trump indoctrination. So it took me like a long time to that bridge connect finally, and he's like, actually, you know what, you're right. Okay, I see where you're coming from now. You're right. I don't like Joe. I don't like Sleepy Joe in the Hoe, but I see what you're talking about here with the whole economic populace, and I'm whatever I said at the time. I didn't use these big words. I made it more like pro worker general rhetoric here. It just takes so long, and it's like, bro, I don't have 3 hours per one idiot to fucking de-radicalize and make them aware that what they want, what they need, and what they want are two different things right now. Like they think they want Trump, but what they actually want is economic populism and all the Bernie rhetoric and pro worker shit and having paid time off by law, paid maternity leave off by law, paid sick time off by law, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and that Republicans 100% are not doing this thing here. Like it shocked me because I don't know if you know this in Louisiana. I'm sorry, I'm going a bit long here, but in Louisiana, just to give like a really grounded example, currently Pornhub is banned. There's currently 8 states right now. It's like Louisiana, Arkansas, and Nebraska, et cetera, where like pornographic material. This was back in 2022 when all the gays are grooming narrative was going on here. In effort to attack gay porn because it's corrupting the youth, they just kind of like blocked porn as a whole. You have to use this like private state operated database where you input your license number and your ID number, and then you get access to Pornhub, or you have to use a VPN to get around the Louisiana VPN. I kid you not. And this is like, and the thing is, they don't even know it's a Republican thing. They're like, the normies don't even know what to attribute that to. They just put up with it. And I'm like, this is anti-freedom, and you have to recognize who caused this here. This is not a democratic thing at all. This is very much a conservative, religious fundamentalist type of thing right here. This is a crusade against gay people, and that's why they're doing that.
Dang, see, I don't agree with their reasons for doing it, but I do think that the society would be better if we didn't have so much access to porn. I think porn is really, really damaging. Then again, that's my religious fundamental self. I think porn is particularly bad for society. So, but again, I believe in allowing people to have freedom. So I would never make the rule that, hey, we're gonna.
I would love to listen. I have a lot of thoughts about my thoughts on pornography in modern society as a role is very similar to social media. So I think. Don't think I'm pro porn if this came off that way. I actually would love to make this put a tack in it and pin it for a future episode because I have a lot of thoughts on porn and its role in society right now, as well as
somebody please pin that so that we can make sure that we can have this conversation in a future date.
Sure.
Hopefully we remember. Really quick, I want to touch on something that you said earlier.
Sure.
The thing about like you don't have time, you don't have 3 hours per person to have this kind of conversation and like convert people. And I agree, you don't, because it would take way too much time, and time is way too valuable. But what you do have is you have the ability to have that kind of a conversation with someone and to convert someone, and then you have the ability to post that conversation on TikTok and YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, and then you get to go ahead and educate so many people in that one conversation, because so many people, all of the viewers are going to encounter that, and conservatives are going to encounter that and go, this nigga kind of spitting. They might not say it in your comments, but it's going to start that thing. And I think that's how we change the world. That's how we change the zeitgeist. Like my agenda has always been one conversation at a time. When I'm in a debate, I want to change the world one conversation at a time. And so when I'm having that conversation, it's not because, you're so important to me that I need you to think differently. It's because this conversation posted somewhere, if it gets 500 views, that's 500 people, or assuming that maybe even 10% of those people are people that disagreed, that's 50 people who have now heard competent ideology or competent argumentation against their ideology that might modify them, and that's what I aim for.
Okay, all right, I hear you, man.
And you're a competent debater, bro. You are. You're an intelligent thinker, so
man, dude.
you should be doing this.
It'd be one thing if they weren't. Dude, there's so many TFGs, dog. They're too far gone. They're so in that cult. You have to tiptoe around. It takes like hours to finally. You can't attack. The whole thing is it's a falsehood reinforced that like Trump is good, and it just takes so long. You have to like you are literally trotting through filler to finally have just a duration be long enough that the shield comes down a little bit, or that you've poked at it and you're literally chipping away at it until finally, okay, now can we get to Trump finally? Can we, okay, I'm dancing around the topic here. So I can finally get to Trump. I gotta get to your boy. I gotta get to the cult leader here, the cult hive mind, the fact that you're in this like reality distortion field that's reinforcing here that all the positive change in the world is attributed to Trump, and it's just not the case.
Sure.
Here. So it just
100%.
It's just a little bit. It's a bit nerve ending. And it's very non-linear too. It's like every person, it varies from what is driving their main value.
1,000,000,000%.
So.
I want to point out, by the way, this is the third topic. The third topic is where do we go from here? And this is kind of what we were talking about last time, if you remember, when I was saying like about the idea that I believe that the way that we move forward, the way that we actually heal the country, is we start having these kinds of conversations, because I do believe that people still can be one. I mean, I also think that prayer should be back in schools, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. So I just feel like the way we would.
Lord have mercy. Okay.
But
these old hot ass takes, and then we.
I be doing it. I just like throwing them. It's like a cheap shot almost. All right. No, no, we ain't getting into that. But I do think these conversations are huge, man. They're really huge, and I think, the way that I got bodied by Steven Crowder, right? I didn't hear a lot of his arguments. I didn't hear like arguments to the other side. I saw Steven Crowder debating, people in those college campuses who are uneducated children. And then I was like, oh man, this guy's such a competent debater. And I started believing in him and Ben Shapiro, before I got more educated and, just started getting involved in politics. It was like this like armchair kind of, armchair political debate that was just like, oh, okay, I can kind of see what these people is coming from, and these dudes are really, really smart. And that's what's happened for so many people. Like Ben Shapiro is literally winning young minds, just as Jordan Peterson did, just as Steven Crowder did, because they've seen these debates with some of these lunatics, people on the left who can't debate, who don't know how to argue, and so then it actually reinforces their conservative mentality, and so that it's effective.
I disagree with all that there. I don't know. When am I allowed to like? Are you still making your opening statement or like?
No, that's it.
Okay,
we've been in this.
Okay, so you're bringing up Ben Shapiro and you're bringing up Jordan Peterson. Both these people here are they're both now members of Daily Wire. Daily Wire is like 100% being like funded by like Koch brothers and PragerU adjacent like oligarch billionaire funded money. The entirety of the right wing apparatus of social media presence is billionaire fed. Let's not pretend here that like, that Tim Pool, Charlie Kirk, Steve Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, who else am I forgetting here? Dave Rubin, like Steven, what's his face? The other Steven. They're all gross. They're all jerks, and they're all fed to like the propaganda we have seen here. Tucker Carlson literally just like giving a tour of like a Russian grocery store. It's 100% Russian propaganda. The fact that Ben Shapiro's advocated, or I'm sorry, Matt Walsh. The fact that Ben Shapiro has like gone for like some pretty patently like pro-war stances. Matt Walsh has gone for calling like, if you take a sick day, then you're no better than a child. That's childish to do a sick day. Just blatantly anti-worker rhetoric here. All this
didn't start there though. Because what I'm talking about is like back in the day, before Ben Shapiro was the guy that he is now, before Steven Crowder
when he was picking
the guy
on like
he was now.
college campus nobodies.
Yeah, that's specifically what I'm talking about.
That's being overprepared. Yeah, I mean, why was he going after college campus literal who's and not going into like the equivalent qualified debating people?
Because his arguments don't actually hold up. Right. And he knows better.
Yeah, it was tactical. I wouldn't say that was like I wouldn't say that was like in good faith. I suppose here it was all about the optics.
I wasn't arguing that it was in good faith either. I think it's really, really heinous what they're doing. They're capturing the minds of the youth by arguing with
Okay, all
underprepared,
right.
unintelligent young children. And I, being an unprepared, unintelligent person, or maybe I can't say unintelligent, but definitely uninformed, I bought into their arguments for quite some time when I was younger. And I know younger people now who still buy into their arguments. That Changed My Mind series was disgusting. And what it did was that's how you start shaping the zeitgeist. I believe without those type of content where you have these Republicans who are getting bought, I mean, where you have these young kids who are getting bought into Republican and conservative ideology because they're seeing these arguments on these college campuses with these underprepared children who don't know how to debate against some of this right-wing grift. Those people, then it looks and it appears as if these people are the most intelligent. They have the best argument that what they're saying is sound, right? And they're arguing in this very populist, like very simple-minded way, such that young people can consume it. And it worked. And now you have those same people who are of an older age where they're actually starting to get, be considered, they're now at the age where they're more likely to vote. And those people are voting, and they're voting Republican because they got bought in by that nonsense. Because both of them are dishonest as freak. These arguments are important.
Okay. Yeah. No. I can agree with that. Now, we should probably take a second here and like, so where do we go from here? Or do we want to? Do you want me to share like? Because I don't think I really want to detail what I want us to do going forward. Or do you want me to like, kind of recap what I disagreed with your proposal last time?
Either one, whichever one you would prefer. I'm open to either.
Okay, well,
I can respond if you want to go with yours, or you can tell me what you
I'll
disagree
do
with
mine, and you can just stop whenever you want or cut me off here. So, first, for me to get into like what I want to do and what I think is the best path forward to like to fix things here, I kind of need to first establish here where we are, and then also establish like my own take on like why this happened. Why did Trump win again despite running a objectively terrible campaign that was full of just like patently unappealing things, and how did it persist? Because there's no way it was just the MAGA cult. There's not like 75 million MAGA members. It was very clearly like the MAGA base itself is like somewhere around like maybe 15, 20 million people who are the most devoted in the cult who will like go to the rally and whatnot. But there's a wider blast of people who just like, they're seeing the shockwave effect where they saw maybe clips from the the Joe Rogan podcast episode with Trump on there, or like maybe it was Trump when he was on the Nelk Boys podcast or the Aiden Ross stream, or, Trump's done a lot of rounds in the new media realm that like Democrats are just completely stagnant on, right? So in the end here, Trump won. He won the popular vote. He won the Electoral College. And it's puzzling to understand here how Latinos swayed 30 percentage points. It's puzzling how Gen Z, 18 to 30-year-olds, swayed 15 or more percentage points. And it's also swayed how there was also a lower turnout overall in 2024 than in 2020. And so with that, here's what I got from that, okay? America is a painfully low information, non-substance, vibes-based, fickle attention span country. In the end here, when you ask a Trump supporter, like they say the economy guy, you ask for substance, they have nothing to provide here the whole way through. So in the end here, now that we're in the social media era, and now that we're in like the saturation of the manosphere, if we're gonna call it that, right? The self-help thing, the incel adjacent content and all that here. There's so many of those, the Andrew Tates, all that, right? All of this contributes to, like you're alluding here, like just the normalization of like right-wing rhetoric and politics and ideology. And in the end here, they're speaking to them. They're telling them, that in the end here, your failure is like in the context of like American individualism, your failure is a moral failure. And you need to get someone who's going to make you strong. And Trump's messaging and narrative like really speak to them in that regard here. And so with that, because they're low information, they don't have substance, and they're really into vibes, in the end here, you have to meet them where they are. And I feel like Democrats were just completely not doing that here. Kamala declining the Joe Rogan podcast, how much social media influence is there with like Democratic rhetoric, and what was really the Democrat narrative the whole way through here? I feel like there wasn't really that, and also because of the fact here they kind of run away from their base. Like very clearly an economic populist, like Bernie adjacent type of thing is what would get like all the normies to come through, because they're definitely into minimum wage increase. They're definitely into paid time off provided by law, not being to the whim of the corporation you currently work for and whatnot. So, but the thing here too, though, is that what Trump has that every other politician doesn't is that he's inherently entertaining. He is chaotic. He is controversial. But the thing is, like, how people are gonna how many people are gonna tune into a Joe Biden State of the Union address? How many would comparatively tune into a completely off the cuff, chaotic, crazy, unpolitician like union address from Trump? And I'm not saying that him entertaining is like endorsing his like awful views out here, but like the point is that like if you believe what I'm saying is correct and that people are really into vibes and people do demand entertainment because of the more social media saturation, fickle attention spans of TikTok and whatnot, then it's going to require a different kind of candidate going forward here. We have to really reevaluate the era of the polished politician, I would say. So that's kind of the thing I keep getting at here is that like we're not going to win. We're not going to win them over with like deep dive information on like better policy, I suppose.
Possibly. I do think though, like I feel like the Democrats give Republicans really, really easy wins. Like, and I'm gonna be 100% real. I don't think that trans issues are like at the forefront of everything, but I think when you do have certain examples of like, some like, there.
Hang on, you muted again. Yeah.
Incident in California where there was like a trans person. I don't believe that this person was actually trans. It was a guy who was a exhibitionist. He had been sued as an exhibitionist and had like criminal history as an exhibitionist. Full beard, full everything. Wasn't really trans, but he went into the Wee Spa and with full genitalia, male genitalia, where there were children and women, and he just went into the locker room and disrobed and was just walking around there like that as an exhibitionist. And so then when we have those kind of incidents, and instead of us being able to have a conversation like, hey, this is something that maybe like I think that there is a good investment in ensuring that young children don't see the genitalia of the opposite gender in safe spaces like that. We can't have that kind of conversation, because then that conversation is being labeled as transphobic. And so when people were protesting at the Wee Spot, and then you have, Antifa and people that go up there and they start literally like beating up people, taking their signs and all that stuff, it was a really big deal. That gives a win, because what ends up happening is now you have Republicans like at a very basic level, just normal, low educated, common sense. It's just like, that seems like that would be somewhat injurious and it just goes against what I believe in. And some people are unwilling to condemn that kind of behavior. Another example of that would be when you have, Anti-Racism by Ibram X. Kendi. I despise that man. I think anti-racism is retarded. I love the idea of critical race theory, because critical race theory is founded in reality and it makes sense. But anti-racism and critical race theories are two different things. And when critical race theory was first being talked about, Ibram X. Kendi and his trash anti-racism enters the conversation, and now you have these Republicans who are intentionally referring to anti-racism as critical race theory in order to make it like ugly and to make it like unattractive, so that white people are justifiably upset because anti-racism is trash. So that dude did a lot of injury. You like anti-racism?
Well, we have to kind of go into like so there's like being not racist, and then you're referring to like anti-racism as in like, and would you define it as like actions that are proactive to deter racism? Like I'm perceiving what you're saying. I'm trying to understand what you're getting at here. When we say anti-racism, we're talking about like when people do things that are meant to prevent racism from happening. We're not like reacting to racism happen and then we're gonna correct that. We're talking about like preemptively preventing racism. Is that what you're saying?
So anti-racism is just a complete ideology that basically has the idea that everyone needs to be, as you're saying, yes, aggressively anti-racist. You cannot be passively against racism. If you are not aggressively anti-racist, then you are racist. if you're just a white person existing in the middle of Alabama that just has your own family that works in a freaking coal mine, or in Kentucky that works in the freaking coal mine and lives in your trailer and goes to your regular school and comes back home and just lives in that little enclave where there's like no black people, you're racist because you are not doing something specifically to combat racism in the view of anti-racism. And so what that ends up doing is demonizing people who aren't perpetuating racism or doing anything that's actually racist. It's just because you didn't fight against racism, you are inherently racist. And so it starts demonizing white people, and like their children are encountering, like there were pamphlets and things like that, and workshops and worksheets of what they were teaching the young children, that like simply being white immediately means that you were born into racism and nonsense. And so that kind of ugliness, I know it sounds ugly and it sounds
Well, this
completely
sounds like
ridiculous, but that's what anti-racism genuinely believes. That's why it's so very different than critical race theory.
Okay, I have to like look a lot further than that one. Generally, I hear anti-racism stemming from like a very famous quote from Martin Luther King Jr. talking about how, like, in reality, racism stems from the inaction of the moderate white man who is passive, and therefore being passive towards things like police brutality and criminal injustice is therefore perpetuating the normalcy of the execution of our people. And so, like, it's not enough to be like not racist; you have to be anti-racist. That's kind of where I recall that quote coming from, and so that like, but maybe we're talking about two different things here.
We
I
are.
get what
Anti-racism was
sounds like
coined by Ibram X. Kendi. He coined it.
Okay.
Way after Martin Luther King. He coined that phrase. And that ideology stems from him. The same way how we have a starting point for critical race theory, we could say these are the lawyers and the people who coined critical race theory and therefore define what it means. In the same sense, we have to recognize who coined anti-racism, who wrote their PhD on it, Ibram X. Kendi, and what comes from that. And so it is very, very distinct from critical race theory. Very, very distinct.
Okay. I guess
And I think you give white people a win when you start promoting that. Because if I'm in a classroom where, like, if my child is 7 years old and where they're teaching him that collectively, all white people are responsible for the ongoing, slavery, et cetera, and telling them that simply by being white they are racist until they are educated to be anti-racist, I got a problem with that. I would have a problem with that.
Let me back up a little bit, okay? Would you consider explaining white privilege a component of anti-racism? Like, is that
no?
So that's a different thing. Of
course.
Okay, all right. Then yeah, I think we're just coming at an impasse here. Then I'd have to look further into specifically that implementation, and I might have like mistakenly perceived anti-racism as something different. But yeah, the overstate where you just like effectively perpetuate white guilt. Yeah, it doesn't really build allies for sure.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a problem.
We should do that. Let's make one of the topics next week about anti-racism.
Okay, sure.
That gives you plenty of time to like to research, and you'll see it's destructive. And when that's the thing that people are encountering, that conservatives are encountering, it's like, wait a minute, what are we talking about? This can't be normal, right? The whole "what is a woman" thing, where it's like when what's her face, Ketanji Brown can't say what a woman is, but she just can't say that phrase. Conservatives then look at that. Low level, low whatever, low educated conservatives just look at that and be like, see, this is so absurd. We're giving them wins. We're giving them wins because now Republicans run on that, right? Or the immigration problem that like the vast majority of Americans recognize the scope, like the sheer number of immigrants that entered into the country during this time was a little bit overwhelming. It would not a little bit. It was overwhelming. It was problematic. And
it was? Oh, your mic went out again. Oh, I lost you. I have to get that cable changed.
I promise you I will have it changed by next week. But yes, I would say that the immigration problem was absolutely overwhelming. And I think people being able to run on that. Trump knew that it would be overwhelming. He knew it was overwhelming, which is why he killed that bill that the Democrats were actually trying to pass with Republicans, and they were getting bipartisan support on a bill to actually fix some of the immigration issue, but he intentionally called and made a sabotage. This is known. I don't know if you're aware of this. He called in to sabotage the bill that was going to go forward because he knew that it would be an issue that he could run on.
Correct. Yeah, I do recall this, yeah.
So it's like, I'm no Republican because Trump created Trump maintained the problem so that he could run on it because he'd rather run on fixing a problem than actually fixing the problem. And he knew that if he didn't have that, then he loses the ability to actually run. But that problem did happen under Biden-Harris. It did. So it's like you give wins. I think sometimes we give Republicans wins by doing really bad things, and then as a result of that, now these people aren't going to be engaged on the economy. They're not going to see what the
Where did we get here? I forgot how we got to anti-racism. So I feel like where do we go from here? Is this like you proposing that one of your solutions is like we need to like abolish we need to like not do the anti-racism practices anymore? Is that like one of your things?
Oh, for sure. I would say all of these various things. I would say that we've gone too far.
Like, what's like your more direct solution here? Like, that's kind of more what because I haven't really finished what I was gonna get into here. I'm curious of like what your we're in Trump term 2. It's gonna get bad. He's gonna like flip the federal government and all the regulatory bodies upside down here. It's gonna be a definitive shit show by 2026. What's our plan? Like, is there like what's our I have a plan. I can tell you like what my plan is. And you can tell me if you agree with it or not, or you can tell me what your plan is, or what you would have.
As I've always said, it's to educate the population. It's to make people actually understand what's actually at stake when Republicans get into office. To point and to inform people about the importance of the systems that the Republicans constantly kind of want to dismantle. When you start talking about environmental regulations, you don't even have to get into global warming to just see how some of these regulations prevent like literally direct like dumping water into freaking people's drinking water, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Again.
I disagree, dude. Maybe because I'm in Louisiana here, bro. These people are radicalized beyond repair, and they do not do any self introspection to be able to compute facts or substance.
Watch my Groyper video. I keep saying it,
dude. You'll
see,
dog. I don't see it, bro. I don't, dude. You
because you haven't done it. I have. I do. I debate people. I debate staunch Republicans and convert them. It's doable. You just have to learn how to manipulate them. If I can convince Jesse Lee Peterson that reparations is necessary, Jesse Lee Peterson, if I can convince him of that, I'm doing something there.
Okay, all right.
He's not. It's not. And again, he's psychopath, and he's obviously a grifter. He doesn't really believe in having stuff.
He's also.
I believe that.
Yeah, isn't like a closet? Isn't he closeted too? Like, isn't that like a whole other thing here as well? Like, he's like.
That's an accusation.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
Not even important. Not even the top 5 worst things he's even said anyway. So he even cares. Like.
Education, yes. Just to answer one person really quick in the chat, education is absolutely a manipulation. It is. Like, I think an educated population makes better decisions. If I don't know what the Department of Education does, I don't see what's wrong with dismantling it. I could just see 1979 Department of Education got created and things got worse. Seems like, hey, easy correlation to me. But then I got to figure out, what does it actually do? What's the point of it? When people are against like things like reparations and stuff, is because they don't know of the harm and stuff that people have gone through. Education changes everything. I love that there was a Twitter space I was on recently, and I'm debating with these people, and she's like, yeah, well, and I explained to her what redlining actually was. And I'm like, yeah, during this time, not a single insured loan went to a single black person over this period of time. And she immediately she's like, wait, so-and-so, is that true? To the other host, is that true? What he's saying true? And I'm like, it's absolutely true. Google it yourself. Now she's starting to see it. She's like, oh, I didn't know that. Then yeah, maybe we could do something. When less than 8% of high school seniors can identify slavery as the root cause of the Civil War, that's where the ignorance is coming from. It's from lack of education, lack of information. You said it's what?
Oh, that's deliberate. That's
oh yes,
that's the school board. That's social studies right there. What?
Daughters of the Confederacy. All of it.
It was over states' rights.
100%. Yeah. But when you educate, when you have a conversation with someone, you demonstrating, you show them this is what this thing was about, and here's the proof, and so on and so forth. There's no argument anymore. Now, some people will argue in bad faith because it's their job to. I don't even want to say his name. Some psychopath debaters where they're just not going to concede no matter what, because it's their job and they can't ever let their following ever see them lose. But real people are going to have that conversation, and then they're going to be like, all right, I can agree.
Well, so let me take a second here then and bring into some more substance of our reality, right? So here's the reality. Harris lost the campaign, raised $1 billion. The spending, the distribution, the logistics were all bad. Running around parading with Liz Cheney, who's a notoriously unpopular Republican. And a very definitive issue like the ceasefire in Gaza, just completely, just kind of like not differentiating enough from Biden and/or endorsing the whole thing there, did lead to a lot of swing voters who ultimately I think just didn't turn out. I think the Gaza thing definitely just didn't make people go Trump in this case. Just kind of made them either go third party on the Green Party or just like sit out in the end in action because it is like. I totally get that. Though I do vote in harm reduction, so I swallowed my pride or I swallowed my spit and voted Harris anyway, because I knew that definitively, in theory, she could be swayed, but Trump would not be swayed, right? So I just kind of went with the lesser of two evils in this case there, even though I was not happy with that either, quite honestly. But there's a couple things here I wanted to bring to your attention that right now, there's already talk here of Rahm Emanuel becoming the DNC chair, which is definitively not a good thing here. This is what I want to see for the Democrats at this point here. I want to see a change in leadership. I'm so tired of like Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, House Speaker, etc., Senate Chair leader, and all that here. It's just not. You need to see definitively new leadership for me to take it seriously anymore. Like in the end here, I don't think Trump even ran a good campaign to win. I'd argue that Harris campaign ran a much worse campaign and they lost. Trump didn't win, just that Harris lost more.
Worst campaign is hard for me. Because Trump didn't have a good campaign. He didn't have one. He didn't have any substance. There was nothing to his campaign. It's just that Kamala was so bad that people couldn't root for her, and she didn't actually have the substance. But Trump didn't.
What's worse, Trump had popular vote, Trump electoral college. Definitively, it was more appealing because the message of revolution resonated with more low information voters all the way through here. In the end, the choice to be very, very active on the social media circles did reach people, quote, where they were. Campaign ads, not where they are. Rallies, not where they are. In the end, the social media sphere, that's the blast zone here. It was I hate to say here, I'm not saying it was an ethical campaign, but it was ran better, and hers was definitely worse. How do you raise $1 billion and still like lose? And it takes like weeks to figure out who even agrees on what the cause was there. It was a bad ran campaign.
Okay.
Like
I think you're correct.
Having Bill Clinton go to Michigan and just tell all the Arabs to go fuck off, having Liz Cheney dance around and continue to and promising on the View that I'm gonna appoint a Republican to cabinet because of the facade of bipartisanship because you're just like a fucking Sleepy Joe here, bro. It was a bad campaign. Ain't nobody. Okay. I'm voting you're Democrats. Right. This facade of bipartisanship is a boomer thing that Joe is still stuck in 1980s on here, bro. These people are deceptive and they will happily exploit the Senate filibuster and every other rule they fucking can to power grab and continue to fuck over everyone else here all the way through, while the decorum obsessed Democrats here continue to just bend over and get fucked every fucking day. Sorry to say
that's here. The same. Yeah, that's the exact same thing that Bill Clinton ran on, which is why we got that crime bill. Remember, he wanted to prove that Democrats weren't soft on crime.
Yeah, it's running to the right. It's shrinking the Overton window further and further here. So, as long as I see leadership like this here, I just cannot take Democrats seriously. I'm gonna be totally real about that.
Sure.
At this current time here now, what I want to see, just gonna bring in more substance to what my solutions would be here. The working parties, working families party, which is like Democrat Socialist advocating here, and the Democrat Socialists of America. These are the two most active factions I see right now here that are both where I'm seeing the most radicalized, eager to mobilize right now. The DNC is not showing me anything serious here. I'm still waiting on to see what Bernie wants to do, if anything here. But I'm currently keeping tabs on these two and seeing what they're cooking up, if they can kind of get like a coalition going. If at best here, to put pressure on the Democrats. Because if I can here real quick, what's powerful now here is the reason why I have hope, even though we're in the worst case scenario, right? We have a Trump cabinet combined with a Republican majority House and Senate and a corrupt conservative majority Supreme Court, right? They have everything. We are definitively right now at the worst case scenario, and it's going to be terrible for the next 2 years or more, right? Okay, not to doom scroll here, it's kind of reinforcing here. So what that means now is there's nothing to lose by exercising a protest vote against the Democrats. We have nothing to lose now. So I'd say now is the time to 100% definitively apply pressure and go all in
everything.
Here. Huh?
Okay. There's everything to lose. If they keep this for 4 years, the damage is going to be I think 2 years is already too much. I'm so scared. But
yeah,
either way.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't understand here. Like so if the Democrats have already ran a terrible campaign and they're letting people fail upward, the same leadership is going to remain at the DNC, and they're still going to do the whole thing where they appease moderates, appease Republicans. When you're trying to appease Republican voters, when in reality here, like Republicans are going to always appeal more to Republican voters than like Republican light Democrats here. Like the
Right.
policies they're doing right now here with not embracing economic populism, what they're doing right now here with still being adhering to their elite donors, which are going to prioritize incrementalism and not real substantive change for a majority populace. Yeah, it's not going to win elections, dog. So like to me,
I agree.
So when I say nothing to lose here, I mean like we're already there. We're already at worst case scenario. Like all that can happen now is you do a protest vote to attempt to sway new leadership or demands at the behest of the pressure of a protest vote to get the Democratic Party to get under control. I don't think they like losing, and we have not tried a genuine unified front on the left. You have some that are like, kind of, maybe Elizabeth Warren, maybe Bernie, maybe a Gavin Newsom can run here. There's not like an unapologetic unified front on our demands. There's like a fickle thing where some people cave early on here, but in the end, there's going to be resistance to economic populism or whatever you want to call it, just good policy all around that's broadly appealing, like a minimum wage increase or again, whatever, subsidized community colleges, whatever thing you want to use here, right? All those things are very popular regardless of party affiliation, regardless of partisan filters here. Like Republicans fuck heavy with the minimum wage increase, and they are definitely into radical things like I even argue here, even like UBI, universal basic income. Like they're into those things whenever it's read out to them separate from the Democrat policy lens and whatnot. So I say here, keep tabs on working family parties, keep tabs on the DSA here, and then finally, like I brought before here, remember last time I said here about the United Auto Workers Union? Well, they made it official now. They officially said it here. May 1st, 2028 is when the United Auto Workers Union will go on strike again, and they're looking for other unions that are going to coincide with their contracts expiring here to build a bigger front. And like I said before, they're looking for those truck driver unions, and they're looking for, hopefully the teachers will get involved too, and it can maybe become a bigger thing with a general strike. So you combine pressure, and unions striking here, facilitating into possibly a general strike of all the wages that are currently getting fucked over right now. That would be a lot of pressure to then say, okay, hey, Democrats, you want our vote? Here's our demands. We want these 10 things. On God, for real.
I like that. I wish black people would be just as unified. We're way past time though.
I think we
so
are.
We gotta...
I think we are actually. Wait. Okay. So in the okay. Now that I said that part here, you think that black people are not for this?
No, I don't think we're unified. I don't think we have a collective ideology of what we should be doing. Because I believe that protest vote should have been against the Democrat Party for a long time. Benign neglect is still practiced by the Democrat Party, and we're still voting for them overwhelmingly. It's still a problem.
I agree there. I think in this next time, tack it here, but accelerationist theory. I think that things had to get this bad for unification to happen across the fractured online spaces. That's been like a leftist problem for a while now.
Sure, you're talking about leftist online spaces. I'm talking about black people.
You know what? I'd love to go into why you think that is, but let's do that one next time then. So I guess the question there would be what's the question? Why are black people not unified?
Not why. What do we need to do to unify? Or do we even agree that we're not unified or whatever?
Well, we think the stats tell me they're unified with voting Democrat currently. They have been for decades now. They are black women and black men are by far the most loyal, attentive, and consistent demographic of voting Democrat, and have been for decades.
That's exactly why I would say that, and I think that's to our detriment.
Well, it is unified to something here, and therefore I think that can be unified towards another purpose if the messaging recruits them in early enough here. If enough of them are currently now under a second Trump term radicalized enough to see here that like we got to really come in here hardcore, I think that can happen actually. I'm a bit more hopeful here actually. I think that black people are uniquely powerful in this case because the mobilization can be really, really good, really, really quickly. I saw really promising numbers and stats here whenever Bernie's campaigns both in 16 and 19 happened, and black people were no stranger to that, I would say. So we'll tack it though. We'll tack it.
I hear you. Listen, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. We might have to edit some of the outro out of the previous of this last topic because we went probably 45, maybe 50 minutes. If I didn't start my timer. you guys know where to find us. Twitch.tv/Trihex, Twitch.tv/Mr. Fanatiq. And look forward to the next episode, which will be on Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard, 7 Central, 8 Eastern.
All right. Yeah, thank y'all for tuning in, y'all. We'll try to do better on the timer next time. Appreciate y'all.
For sure.
Peace. All right.
Okay. Bro,
Yo.
this is another banger episode, I think. I very much enjoy talking to you. It's still good.
Yeah. On my end here, I would say I tried to engage more and not just like fart out my notes. So I feel like this is like a much better episode 1 than the last one for sure.
For sure. The last one was episode 0.
Yeah, as we all agreed to, right? Yeah, episode 0.
Yeah.
Okay, did we actually write down here though? What do we okay, just so I don't forget here. What did we touch on here that we want to hop on? What did we put a pin on here? So the pin was okay, so role of porn, and I guess for me it'd be porn and social media. I think they're both in the same category here. In society, role of porn in society. And I'm gonna put a little subnote here because you said that
porn is bad for society, period.
Okay, you think porn's a net negative? Okay, all right.
Hyper harmful.
Fanatiq. Porn is a net negative for society. Okay, interesting. Okay, what was the other? What were the other tacks that?
Anti-racism.
Okay, anti-racism. Okay, I have to look into that. What's the name again? The gentleman you're referring to?
Ibram X. Is it Candy? IBRAM space X space KANDI. It's either Candy or Kendi. KENDI, but it's one of the two.
Okay, I'll do my homework on that. And then let's see here. We had a tack on black people are not united, right? Is that,
unified.
Are not unified.
Yeah, sure, unified.
Are not unified. / unified for Democrats. So parentheses, the wrong cause.
Sure.
And then you said here something along the lines of
listen.
protest.
You know how much I hate Candace. Yeah, how much I hate Candace Owens, but I think her stupid line of black people on the Democrat plantation. I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
Protest vote. Should have been sooner. That's what got me. Should have protest vote against Democrats. Should have happened sooner. That's kind of what I heard from you earlier. Any other? I thought there was at least one thumbtack during the Department of Education point, but I kind of don't remember now where that was going here.
Oh, the black jobs thing, bro.
Oh, bro. Yeah. Okay, bro. All right, black jobs.
We might need a bonus side conversation about the black jobs, man.
No, arguing is fun actually. I like the because every time I think it's gonna be too boring. We're gonna agree on everything, and then you hit me with some freaking crazy ass curveball, and I'm like, what? All right, bro. Yeah. Okay, bro. All right, bro.
Yeah, cause I be spitting.
Bro.
The black job thing was terrible. It was awful.
I remember now too. Prayer. You said prayer needs to come in school. Prayer.
Oh yeah, that's a meme. That's a meme. I mean, I do think society would be more beneficial the more prayer there was. I think morals. People need morals, and I think a lot of people get their morals from. But I don't genuinely advocate
this is
for
off
being
convo,
like that.
but I'm not anti-prayer in school. More so is the hypocrisy that those who advocate for it are very clearly like they want Christian prayer. They don't want they don't respect all religions. They want very much Christian prayer and not any other religion understood in school. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
Oh, that's bro, you got it.
100%.
You were in California way too much, bro. That is like the Christian nationalism thing is like insane out here, dog. It is very much like they are intolerant to any other religion the whole way through, and it's seen as like the us versus them thing. So I would take this argument more seriously if there was like blatant hypocrisy all the way through there. But like, it's not the most urgent note, but prayer needed in school. Okay.
Yeah, that one's hard because it's like, again, I because of just my view of like liberalism in the sense that I don't like projecting my beliefs on other people. I can't really advocate for other people to get prayer in school. Like I know that it would the problems that you run into there and in the encroachment, and I'm very, very anti-encroachment. And I feel like if you start having prayer come from authority figures, it does create some type of encroachment on other people's values.
Yeah.
And I think that's really like, it's one of the, that's why I said it's a meme, because it's like, in reality, do I think society would be better off with prayer in schools? Yes. Do I think as a whole it's something I can like literally advocate for politically? No, I don't.
Yeah, it's the classic here. I had a point here about that. I just forgot it already here. But yeah, it's like it's like, I'm not anti-gun. I'm anti-gun violence. So in the same way, I'm not anti-religion. I'm anti religious zealots or religious bigots, or how like religion has now become its own, like, it's effectively its own invisible partisan divide here, right? Like, and it creates it actually creates division rather than unity. At least in the most fringe factions, which is unfortunate, and I wish that weren't the case here. But yeah, religion does stem to a lot of historical causations of war, division, and etc. here. So there are plenty of arguments there, but obviously doesn't mean I want to abolish religion. Just more like I hate that it seems to like breed a lot of intolerance.
But you know that like more wars and things are fought over literally every other division than religion, right? Like religion only is the cause of only like 6.5% of all wars in the history of wars.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Well, we'll have to go into that's not a stat that I've heard, but I guess that's another that could be another convo though. I don't mean to that's a pretty heavy-handed one here though. I'm not prepared to really make a because I know you're a religious guy here, and maybe if I have opened and admitted here that like I'm agnostic or atheist adjacent here, yeah, I don't want to. That's going to be a lot of toes to hop on here. We have to probably save that one for a bit more prep on my end here.
I don't even think we need, because I don't think that's really debatable. Like I don't want to have a debate about whether, or you know what I mean. Like that's just a basic stat that I gave. You could Google that, or you whatever. You know what I mean. But like,
Okay.
yeah, what I've always argued is that tribalism is what causes wars, because the vast majority of wars are not religious, it's just tribal, right? Like people wanting land grabs, or people feeling like my country is my identity versus your country, and like that's normally what causes it. Division is tribal. Republican versus Democrat is tribal. Black versus white is tribal, and so on and so forth. Tribalism is gross, and we just find different ways of dividing ourselves on a regular basis. It's the Republican way. Man, watching Bernie give that speech like in 2003, I think it was like at a high school level, where he was like, Republicans can never admit what their actual agenda is. So they can't tell you, hey, we want to privatize education, we want to privatize healthcare, we want to privatize, whatever. We want to privatize everything so that we can, make more money, right? They can never tell you that. So instead, what they do is they divide you. They divide black versus white, straight versus gay, so on and so on. And he just goes to do all these things, and he's like, and now you have these people fighting over these things. Meanwhile, that they're going all the way to the bank, with the wealthy are, because you guys are fighting against your own interests. Because Republicans package within all of their stuff whatever your belief is. Oh, abortion? Okay, I'm going to package that. But in the same time, I'm privatizing all of the things, all of the systems, so that way we can make money. And that's exactly what Republicans do.
Okay, I don't disagree with that. All right, I'll look into it then. I'll concede here because I don't want to. You're more prepared to engage this topic than I am. I didn't really mean to make it. I already don't really feel comfortable engaging in like a religious versus anti-religion thing. So I just kind of
no, that's not a real topic. No.
Yeah, it feels.
That's why I said it's a meme, bro. It's
a
meme.
It also feels personal. It's like it's not really what I want to like do. Like I need to like, I want to be really prepared to like make sure I can engage in the substance and not like make it feel like I'm just like anti-religion, because I'm not. But like, yeah, I would need a bit more time to prepare for that a little bit more.
Yeah, but we're not about to have such a subjective conversation of religion. I just don't, because again, there's so much more stuff that we could talk about, like in politics. Religion is like you said.
Yeah. There's much more urgent. Yeah, there's much more urgent topics to get into compared to that. It's minuscule compared to like what we're about to face over the next 2 years here. I'm kind of depressed here. I have to constantly Google shit, because now I already know it's going to be like E. coli outbreaks and just like completely non-existent regulations on just like consumption of food and shit like that. It's about to be like,
yeah, man,
fucking nuts.
And that's why it's gross, because before we even get to global warming, there's so much regulation that needs to be discussed before then, bro. There's so much more regulation and stuff that we know that is going to be harmful, that Republicans are constantly trying.
Your microphone.
That's a sign. I'm 100% going to change this cord. I have one down there. I just didn't know where it was, and I didn't want to replace it in the middle of the show. But look, I love you. I got to go. I got a prayer meeting like literally now, so I'm about to dip. We'll be in touch, man.
All right, bro. Sounds good, bro. Later, bro.
All right. Peace.
Peace. All right, chat. And Fanatics chat, I love you all. Any last words before I unmerge the chats here? That dude has a great vibe. Yeah, no, Fanatiq is dope for sure. I actually think that y'all would enjoy that more because we had a. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and nuke it now. I think that I did a better job this time around here. I still had a lot of things I had written down that we didn't get to. But that's okay though. Yeah, Fusion Timer's up now. So, yeah, it's the classic here where like I'm not anti-gun, but rather I'm anti-gun violence. In the same way, I'm not anti-religion. I'm just anti religious bigotry, religious exclusion, religion as like a vehicle for propaganda that's weaponized politically, et cetera, et cetera. Our institutions that are not currently happening right now are allowing a lot of exploitation of such here. So, but yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed my contributions here. Again, I tried to. It's tough because it's like it's tough because I want to like go. I have more I want to talk about, and I realize now how to pace myself here. I kind of like over prepare with my over detailed take on things, and I go too much into my own substance to reinforce my points, and I'm not engaging with Fanatiq enough here. It's a bit harder. I hope it's more entertaining though, because I'm trying to engage with him more. I actually didn't talk as much as I wanted to during the Department of Education situation. And we actually had a whole section here dedicated to the cabinet picks, but bro, we didn't get into any of this stuff, honestly, unfortunately here. I had a whole thing here on that. Don't know if it was going to be important or not here, but you know, the cabinet picks, you know, the UN ambassador being a Zionist, Mike Huckabee being ambassador to Israel, Mike Waltz being National Security Advisor, Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, becoming the Department of Homeland Security head, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, Tulsi Gabbard becoming a National Intelligence Director, which is insane, Matt Gaetz becoming Attorney General, RFK Jr., Secretary of Health and Human Services, the Fox News host becoming Secretary of Defense. Yeah, there is some, these are some fucking insane appointments, bro. Oh my God, bro, it's ridiculous. Oh no, yeah, it genuinely, all of these are worth a like hour-long discussion over how terrible they all are. Like it's impressively bad what we're seeing here. Holy fucking shit, dude. So, but yeah, however though, I like that the podcast actually ended. It wasn't like a very bloated shit fest. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm hoping y'all enjoyed today's thing. What I'm hoping to do going forward here is that the podcast is when I unleash my political like dogma, and that way more of the Trihex streams become the gameplay that we all know and like here. I don't like that I'm talking about politics so fucking much, because I'm trying to cope with the exhausting reality we're going to be in for the next 4 years, and but at the same time here, you know, it's giving me a constructive outlet. So I really do appreciate y'all tuning in for this year. Y'all are really amazing. So if y'all have any any like, I guess like thoughts or whatever, I'm opening here right now here. I do want the podcast to be better. So I know it's like a very amateur thing right now. I'm trying to figure out what my role is in it more, but feel free to fill me in with whatever you wish to see done or covered more. Okay, so I'll keep spitting then. No big deal. No big deal. I guess the last thing to say here about the whole thing, about this episode of the podcast here, is that like, I'm very much enthusiastic and rooted in solutions. I think like Fanatiq is as well. Fanatiq is very eager to de-radicalize people. It seems like here, like he's very, I think him being in California, if I can talk to y'all real quick here, I think Fanatiq being in California just shows here like the region difference there, because like he's talking about a lot of like education and outreach, one person at a time. Yeah, it's very idealistic. Whereas like if you're in a resident, these motherfuckers, they're cultists. They are, dude, there's no, you're not gonna change their mind. You have to convince them that like a Trump adjacent thing is the solution, rather than like, you can't tell them that Trump is wrong and bad and dumb, because they're not going to change. You have to feed them a different lie based off of how their warped worldview already functions here. Like he was saying, he said it, but he doesn't really believe in it. Like he's saying manipulate to get them over. I'm like, no, you have to really manipulate them. You have to like you have to outmaneuver the whole way through here. Like I say over and over again here, I'm looking at it like you gotta let them hear what they think they want, but it actually be what they need and make it entertaining the whole way through. So I'm looking at this shit here and I'm like, bro, you gotta convince them that you gotta come at it from a populist pro-worker standpoint, because everyone hates their job and everyone hates how stupid, you know, the American workforce is. Getting hired, what you're getting paid is too little here. So if you come at it from a pro-worker standpoint, that crosses over partisan divides, and that's how you get them in there, I would say. I thought I was cooking here. I'm bringing nothing but substance here. The DNC leadership needs to change. This guy's a fuckboy. You got to look at where the radicals are, because that's where the starting point will be for the wave to happen, and then the shock waves that follow afterward will then hit the normies, at which point they'll hear about the possibility of positive change. I promise you, chat, quote me now here, okay? Working Families Party, Democratic Socialists here, and many others, whatever Nina Turner and Bernie Sanders are going to be doing here, I promise you it's all going to collide with those union auto workers. I've been saying this for over a year and a half now, since mid-2023. This is what's going to happen here, bro. The few remaining unions are going to go in here and go really hard on this Mayday shit, now that they made it official, and it's going to be the only real chance to spark change. It's going to get ugly, but if it can get anywhere near a general strike, that's when the economy will crawl to a halt, and that's when you can inspire real change. The protest vote now is the right call here. There's nothing left to lose. We're at worst case scenario. Republicans have all the power, so hitting them not just with like unapologetic promise of an economic populist tomorrow, but simultaneously that by 2028 they'll have to eat their bed. Like, you had Republican power unilaterally, and everything fucking sucks right now. So there's no pivoting of blame. You know they're trash, but simultaneously, we're not going to go for a harm reduction vote of democratic incrementalism. You come with a lot of pressure from the far left to be like, no, fuck you. If the Democrats want our vote in this fucked up two-party system, you got to meet these 10 to 20 non-negotiables, or get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So I'm coming at it hardcore with like substance of inspiring real change. This whole like reaching out to one Trump voter at a time, bro, that's like, bro, I love Fanatiq, but dude, that's not gonna get me anywhere. That's not gonna get us anywhere, dude. Like, I gotta convert one idiot at a time, bro. All right, bro. It's adorable. It's idealistic, but like, goddamn, dude. It's not scalable.
Bitch, I look like pussy, though, hopping at that old school.
Yo.
Saw a customer wore this awful shirt at work today and I cringed instantly. Here's a link.
All right, let's see what the... Thank you. One second, I'm pulling up right now. what do we got here? I'm voting for the Outlaw, We the People, and the Hillbilly. A customer wore this awful shirt at work today and I cringed instantly. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Do you ever ask them, was your merch made in China? And do you support communist outsourcing of your support of America? God, I want to just... Yeah, look, I don't work retail anymore, dude. Maybe it's a good thing, actually. I just want to ask them so bad and be like, is that, are they commies or are they, or is like, or not, like you know, is your American flag made in USA? Is your, is your merch made in USA? Like, how you feel about that one, bro? Okay, all right. Anyways, these boys here, bro. All right, well, so with that, y'all, I'm gonna go head out of here. Venom's back now. I'm gonna go ahead and go enjoy myself with her. Not loot. I'm gonna go walk the dog. Not do what you're. That's lewd, chat. No. So tomorrow I'm off because Venom is off tomorrow as well. So we're actually gonna enjoy our company tomorrow. If you haven't yet, reminder here that the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight, that is tomorrow, by the way, on Netflix. Don't know what time here. So I'm going to watch that tomorrow. Maybe ask the mods in Discord if they want to do like a screening of it. Maybe you can go over there and check that out here, actually.
Two years. Banger podcast, bro. Love a good tree-up with educated discussions.
Thank you, Bug Weasel. I really appreciate y'all. They're doing that on Friday. That is tomorrow. It is tomorrow, November 15th. Yeah. Now, I wouldn't watch it either. I wouldn't pay for it, but because it's on Netflix. Yeah, that's okay. That's shockingly accessible. Okay, I fuck with that actually. Wow. I would never pay for pay-per-view. I don't even have cable, but it's on Netflix. Okay, I'll tune in, The friction's very low there, so I'll check it out. You know what I'm saying? But thank you, Bug Weasel. Really appreciate you, bro. So let me see here. No, thank you so much, bro. And once again here, so I'm gonna be off tomorrow to be with Venom, but also to get my YouTube resuming here and to organize further now that the YouTube domain thing is fixed. And with that, I'll be back Saturday. And when I am, it's gameplay. We have new initiatives going forward here. It's gonna be 1 hour max of yapping, and then we actually do gameplay now. So I'm looking forward to resuming Mario Maker and Brothership starting Saturday, while we're still working on our Yoshi Island controller issue, which is what I'm currently waiting on. So we're trying to figure out how to get that fixed, so we can get back on Yoshi as well here. No, we need gameplay. My main appeal, what made the channel dominant, was gameplay, not all this shit here. So I have to I have to kind of figure that out right now. So I appreciate y'all. And let's see who's live here. Let's and I'm gonna go head out now and go walk my dog. So let me see who's live, and I'm gonna raid someone real quick here, and we'll come back here tomorrow. Or I'm sorry, a Saturday. I'm saying tomorrow, autopilot here. Let's see. I'm looking right now. Oh shit, my boy's live. Okay. My boy's live though. My boy's live. And again, I do appreciate y'all here. I really do. I do enjoy the combos. For all my brothers, I'm so happy y'all are here. For all my non-black people who are still here for a very accessible, but I don't expect these kinds of podcast ideas to really venture outside of black people, to be honest, but I'm really happy that y'all tune in and y'all are still down with the cause here. In the end, I want a better tomorrow for everyone, and I'm really happy to I'm really happy that y'all see that as a humanitarian, as a feminist, that's not cringe at all to say here, and as like a, you know, someone who wants to see a better tomorrow for everyone all the way through. Yeah. Okay, let me think. Do I want to raid this person? No, I want to raid this person. Okay, we're gonna raid my boy. All right, so if y'all want to, y'all can go show some love here. My DDR bro Luck Jury is live right now. He's doing his thing, but let's I really want to raid Waitress. That's my boy here right now, so let's raid him. And yo, I'm so jelly y'all went to Sonic Expo. Got me thinking about attending next year, now that I know that Ish is in Texas. There you go. So, all right, y'all. And with that, I will see y'all on Saturday. I love all of you, but I gotta go though. The 8-bit toe combo didn't work out. No, it so the Switch Pro controller that it's meant for works, but the 8-bit toe does not work. No, I don't know why. I literally don't know why it doesn't work. Go back like 4 VODs ago. Bro, it's so fucking annoying. I thought we were there, and then it doesn't work. It only works with like PS5, Xbox, and Switch Pro. I can't get it to. I don't know why it's not working with the 8-bit though, even though they emailed me and told me it would work. But technically, it's meant for those mono controllers. But yeah, I can't do Yoshi on a fucking Switch Pro controller, bro. It's fucking it doesn't work at all. So, but we'll talk more about that on Saturday, okay? Good night, y'all.